you!
You're scared. And you should be.
This is not your company anymore.
Leave the cheek of CM Punk.
Out! Combo move! This is what they've been doing! Hey, McAfee!
Everyone shut the up and sit down!
We got a mom in the front row who taught her daughter how to suck dick!
I'm Mina Shirakawa. I used to be a model. I want to put on a big show.
And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome once again to the Saturday Shenanigans, hosted by yours truly, the Renegade JJ Williams. Hi guys. CM Punk drama bullshit to the side. I still consider Hangman the worst AEW champion they've had. First of all, we're going to bring in Walter Cruz.
I said that as a joke when what's his name did his promo Monday. He said, "I'm from a prestige university." I said he majored in Steiner Man.
We've got the Heb man, James Hebert, in the house.
I do really cool and dumb things on the internet.
Right. A lot of shit going on here. A lot of fucking crazy ass shit.
Where is Noah JD? Well, say his name and he appears, because we believe in Noah Foster.
Fuck is this intro? It is one of those things where as fans, we do have these desires of what we want to see, but sometimes you can't always get what you want, and there are reasons you truly don't get what you want. I wouldn't even listen to this in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. What the fuck is this shit? God, rapid whack. Like I said, never been a greater time to be a wrestling fan than with more companies in a more lucrative spot, in a more comfortable business spot, in a sense of mind, it seems, than ever. Again, WWE is not the only one. It is not the end-all, be-all. So let's go back to the Renegade Wrestling JJ Williams to get the official word. JJ, speak!
Make sure you tune in every week, because you never know who's going to drop in to join the shenanigans. Catboy is in the house.
Hello, my internet family. I say if you want to make them as evil as possible, make them really mad.
We have Mansfield joining the party now. What is going on, Josh?
Like I told no one when we were in Cleveland, him joining Chase U was just an unfortunate side effect of my shenanigans towards you, JJ. I know how it can get better, Noah. The panel chooses you.
Shut the fuck up, Josh.
You said that so like. They got the intro back. Yeah, I was gonna say.
Just like how you and I had lunch together the other week.
That was different.
Ladies and gentlemen, the King is here. Say his name and he appears. We believe in King A-Train. There are so many believers in Joe Hendry. The only person on this panel that doesn't believe in Joe Hendry is King A-Train. Tell the world why you do not believe in Joe Hendry.
The reason I do not believe Joe Hendry is he is Fandango 2.0 in a entrance merchant. I rest my case, Your Honor.
Hey! There's nothing wrong with being an entrance merchant. He has some of the best entrances of all time.
Teleporting into the command center, all the way from Angel Grove High, Datilla.
Oh, yeah. I went to the command center on Thursday. I went to Vasquez Rocks, which is where they filmed a lot of episodes. Somebody actually climbed to the very top of those rocks. I made it halfway. I was like, I'm not going up there. Definitely Toni Storm versus Mariah May. That's the one match I probably am looking forward to the most. I really like the story. I'm familiar with All About Eve, so if it plays out that way, I kind of know how this is gonna go.
Say goodnight, Datilla.
Good night.
James, you did say his name, so he shall appear, ladies and gentlemen. first time on the Shenanigans. Jeff Meacham is in the motherfucking house.
Ah! All right, we're coming in hard with the botch. All right, fucking hell. It's good to be back. It's good to have an opportunity to talk to the crowd on a Saturday.
If you want to have yourself stomach through it, you can go back and watch when the Main Event Mafia took over Impact. That's what James is talking about.
So if everybody just joined us, we're talking about people sedating people, attempted murder, boys, and tips. Welcome to Saturday Shenanigans, everybody. Aren't you glad I'm back?
Welcome back, Jeff.
Cool. What is going on, everybody, and welcome once again to the Saturday Shenanigans, the staple here of the Simply Reliable Studios. It is I, your host and moderator, the Renegade of Wrestling, JJ Williams. But as per usual, I am not alone. This is not Disney, but as of right now, we have the Sensational Six about to start filing in here. Let's go ahead and bring them in. First and foremost, I don't think anybody can dispute that this man is the MVP of the weekend so far, as he did 7+ hours in one stream today. Noah Foster, how are we doing this evening, bro?
In the happiest way I could say it possible. I'm tired, but I'm all right, and I will give you all 2.5 hours as usual, as I just saw the greatest pay-per-view in AEW history and my pay-per-view of the year. I'm feeling absolutely phenomenal despite what my voice sounds like. Good to see you. God.
Good to be seen, man. You know, when I tagged in with you for the 0 hour, because you were all alone, I expected Tony to go 4, maybe 5. I didn't expect him to deliver a 6-hour main card pay-per-view. But like I told Walter when we were doing Saturday night's main event, this is their WrestleMania. The entire reason WrestleMania became 2 nights was because shows were going 5.5 hours.
Damn right.
So I'm not surprised it went that long.
It was worth every moment and every damn freaking penny.
Hey, I look forward to watching it back at some point, but let's not spend too much time alone with you, as we do have 4 more waiting to come in. Next one we'll bring in has been my tag team partner for 3 of the 6 streams we've done. Mr. Reliable is in the house. How are we doing, Walter? Good to see you yet again.
Good to see him back.
Can't hear you, bro. Now,
Me too.
check 1, 2. I can't hear him.
I can't hear him either.
All right, he dropped. Well, while he tries to get that situated, we'll bring in one of your tag team partners for this weekend. The Heat Man, James Hebert, is here.
Hi.
Be happy, James.
I'm so emotionally drained after the whiplash that I ever dealt with. I'm barely alive. Because, okay, so everybody knows the shit that happened. I accidentally ended the stream. That's no secret. Then I watched the main event, and I can't tell you how elated I was. However, going from crying to JJ because I accidentally ended the stream, which is essentially what happened, to then being elated and excited that Hangman won the title was the most insane whiplash I've ever felt with in my life. I didn't even use proper English. That's how fucked up I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm here. I don't know how, but I'm here. I almost passed out before the show started, so that shows you how exhausted I became after this. So
Well, I'm not surprised. It's been a hell of a weekend for everybody, but we do still have 2 more waiting in the wings.
Yes.
First of all, making his return to the Shenanigans after a lengthy absence is the man who called House of Glory with James yesterday. Ryan is in the house. How are we doing, Ryan?
We're doing good. Give me a second here.
Hey, we can see you now.
It was a good show. What can I say?
There you go, brother.
First thing I think I called to James in a long time. So.
Yeah. It was fun. It was fun, brother. Good to have you on. Good to have you back.
Yes. Now we'll bring in a man I know Ryan has interacted with in the spaces, but I don't think he's actually visibly ever seen him before.
Oh, yeah.
Bringing Nick back into the Shenanigans for his second time after calling Supercard of Honor with Noah yesterday. How are we doing, Nick? You made your commentary debut, and now you return to the Shenanigans.
My sash says bride to be. There's a special quote. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. My fucking bride.
There we go.
Then it's your fucking bride. Is that what you said? Goddamn.
He my bride.
He my bride.
Love you, honey.
So bringing people together. Ryan and Nick have interacted with each other before, but
Ryan,
they've never seen each other face to face.
Ryan, you are one sexy bitch with that mustache. And I'm eating Jell-O too while you're at it.
Nice.
Very, very appreciative of the compliments. You look good yourself, Nick.
Love you, buddy. Love you, buddy.
All right, then this is going to get weird before I get actually started.
I'm blowing up already. There we go.
And to make things even weirder, here comes our Canadian friend.
Oh boy.
Hi.
Hello.
How are we doing, Ash?
I'm good. I forgot what time it was until James messaged me. He's like, "Hey, are you going in?" I was like, "Wait, oh fuck, it's already 10." Shit.
Yeah.
You don't say, eh?
Yeah, no kidding, eh, bud?
Oh no kidding, eh, bud?
Oh man. Well, hopefully Walter will get back here soon. He gets whatever issues is going on with his headset worked out because we want to get the reliable one in here.
Definitely.
Yes. But gentlemen and lady, what a weekend we have had so far.
Oh yeah.
Literally, when we went off the air with Saturday night's main event, we had done 6 watch-alongs in 27 hours.
Oh yeah.
We rock.
That's nuts to
That's
think
awesome.
about. Like, everybody is talking about how, like, Dustin Rhodes wrestled 3 matches in 24 hours. 6 watch-alongs in 27 hours. No disrespect to the natural, but I think we saw you and we raised you, bro.
Goddamn. We doubled the workload, is what you say?
A little bit, and added only 3 hours to it. But did I or did I not call it, bro, when I found out about that fatal 4-way?
You did. You actually did call that. If it accounted for the league, you probably would have been one of the few outside me who's been passionate about Dustin Rhodes' entire career that I've told you ad nauseum about Dustin Rhodes winning. That was one of my most treasured moments in a long time, let alone this weekend.
That was such a feel-good moment, man, having him win in Texas.
So, well, let's not get too deep into All In. I know that's like the main event because it is the highlight of the weekend so far.
Damn right.
Let's rewind back to yesterday a little bit. And let's kick things off with, I guess you could kind of call it the appetizer to All In. Supercard of Honor, which you and Nick did. We'll kind of just leave it to you guys to kind of dictate. I don't know how many other people in the room saw all the matches so that they can give full-on thoughts about it. But Nick and Noah, what were your highlights, if any? What were your low points of the show? Talk about Supercard of Honor. And Nick, I want to start with you since you're kind of the new guy to the announce team.
Okay. It is watching Supercard of Honor. It was exactly what Noah actually said. If you're looking for a true sports-based presentation of a show, and you're looking for that in-ring quality more so than any story, then Ring of Honor is for you. A lot of those matches that came in there, and we've talked about it repeatedly. I said it repeatedly. I went in there blind. So I was asking Noah, what's the story of this one? What's the story of that one? And there, for me, there wasn't really any. Highlight of the show, Bandito and Takeshita, get
damn right
real. Holy. I would say a low point though for a show for me would be the Pure Rules match. It's not my style and I don't like it. But yeah, all in all, it was
that match.
It was Lee Moriarty and Blue Panther. But I think the whole rules aspect of it gets me kind of confused, and it's just like it's way too slow of a pace for me.
That's fair.
See, that's where I love that. This is where subjective is great because I love those kind of matches. I thrive off that shit.
Same.
So there you go. Fair
I
enough.
have yet to see one of those. I would like to. It sounds like it's my type of a match, given the type of wrestlers I like.
Zack Sabre Jr. super fan? Nah, I didn't know that.
I mean, you know,
Shut
bloody
up, James.
checkers.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, me and Noah, we were looking at that main event set the bar. That was they showed out. They showed out last night. And it played now seeing All In now, it plays into a lot regarding a certain Rainmaker. So, yeah, all in all, it was a good show.
Fair enough. And like I told you off air, I'll go ahead and repeat it on air. I thought the chemistry you and Noah had was fantastic. I thought you did a great job. What little I heard of you in your debut.
We were just short of
turn it over to you.
We were just short of Noah telling us his life story, pretty much. Like we could have.
Noah, turn it over to you. What did you think of the way Nick did, and do you echo his sentiments here on Ring of Honor?
Well, always professional wrestling is subjective. There's a reason why there's so many polarizing opinions and conversation amongst fans, why they think that division is the only way to be the strongest amongst this equation. I thought Nick did a great job. Not only did he analyze me and my outlook on Ring of Honor, to help him understand why I look into Ring of Honor and what people should look forward to in Ring of Honor if you want to look at the aspect of what professional wrestling is from Ring of Honor's standpoint. He also learned a little bit about me, and I think it was a great way to engage people that might not know what wrestling is or why we even do this. So in a way, I think it was basically a double down on connecting professional wrestling. So Nick, I thought you did a great job. I thought that you learned a bit from me, but I think I also learned a bit about you when it comes to your outlook on wrestling. And I look forward to the next time calling something with you. My highlights definitely was Blue Panther, again, a legend in his 60s. Still going as strong as ever. Such a big influence to the likes of Tiger Style, as well as the American Dragon Bryan Danielson. I thought they had a great back and forth match because for me, pure wrestling is one of my loves, like James. I like these human chess games, how you manipulate the body to your will, and the pure rules allow you to use the ropes if you reach that point, which was part of the strategy. I thought was a very smart wrestling match by Lee Moriarty. I also look at the fact that during the card, it was such inter-promotional showcasing. From the British Heavyweight Championship from RevPro with Michael Oku and Hechicero running back a match they had a while back, to Hechicero getting a huge win, possibly being the next challenger for the Ring of Honor World Championship, to the International Worldwide Showcase of Tokyo Joshi Pro, CMLL, AEW, and RH, and that women's four-way, where Mina had a moment, won her first title here. She's the new interim Ring of Honor Women's World Television Champion. Teton Nick Wayne running back their classic from the Beza Super Juniors. It held up to the billing as I thought it would. Athena and Thunder Rosa running it back from Warrior Wrestling. 30-minute draw back in 2022. Both women literally tried to break each other for Athena to get the victory. And she got the victory via submission with a modified bow and arrow due to all the exaggeration she did to Thunder Rosa's back. But you want to talk about a match that is about top that shit. Freaking Konosuke Takeshita and Bandito had a fucking shootout, proverbial at high noon, that came down to smart wrestling in the end. The counter to the Raging Fire to the inside cradle that allowed Bandito just to sneak out and get the win. He was bludgeoned, he was bleeding, he was almost broken, but his body and spirit never wavered. I actually look back at the extended footage with him and Tony Khan, thinking the fans, there's a customary tradition for a deep respect to lucha libre action, where the fans will throw money, coins, and dollars into the ring. The fans in Arlington did that for Bandito post-match. That shows how much they valued
that level of competition showed out in the Ring of Honor main event. And then you had a fun exhibition where someone got $50,000 richer, where AR Fox got some glory finally and also gained a profit. Overall, it was an incredible, dynamic card, top to bottom, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. The thing about Ring of Honor that's always transcended for me as a wrestling fan is this. It is a showcase of all forms, all styles, but it showcases the competition brought out in professional wrestling more than any other company. And it's that competitive nature that makes it feel like a sports presentation that makes me honestly say, I do watch only one sport, and that's professional wrestling. And I thought Supercard of Honor was a great setup into this weekend.
Great analysis from both of you. Really quickly before I go to the rest of the panel to give thoughts, if anybody saw Ring of Honor, let's go ahead and try and bring Walter back in. Check,
right.
check, Walter.
Take two. Mic check. Mic check.
Loud and clear, buddy.
See, Walter, this is what happens when you have all those fish bowls. God damn it.
Right? I had shots of Patron today.
So, again, Nick and Noah, great analysis. Did anybody else on the panel see Supercard of Honor, have anything they want to touch on as far as that goes?
There were no fish sightings.
No fish sightings. We didn't see WrestleFish, so I was very disappointed. No, I'm kidding.
But did we get the Wrestle Flush?
I'm never going to live this down, am I? It's just never going to end.
You have such a bad resume of mistakes, including tonight. You might as well deal with it. Go ahead.
You got no one to blame but yourself, my good friend. You got no one to blame but yourself.
I know.
I think you should shave your beard as a punishment.
No, I like my beard. Leave my beard alone.
He did that once before. He came onto the show completely baby-faced, and we were like, dude, you kind of look like a creepy guy that would be hanging out of a school.
Yeah, it wasn't a good look.
Like the beard looks a little bit better on him. Trust.
I feel like James would look like Juice Robinson after 8 drinks.
Nope. No, I have a James Ellsworth chin. It don't look great.
But well, the thing I want to piggyback on as far as Supercard of Honor is not necessarily a wrestler, but somebody who was there as a performer who did double duty last night.
-1. That's right. During the Frat House versus the Dark Order 6-man tag on the 0 hour. I can only imagine what -1 thinks of Preston Vance now.
I just can't help but see -1 get involved in stuff and smile.
Same. Honest to God.
You know, it would be so easy to turn your back on the industry after his father's passing. But he seems to want to jump into it head first. He seems to still be embracing it. You see images of him posted from Natalia where he's training pretty much every week at the dungeon with her and Tyson, TJ.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
You know, so for him to accompany the Dark Order on Supercard of Honor and then travel to the GCW show, it was supposed to be Man Like Durace versus Jonathan Gresham. Gresham wasn't able to make it, so they threw Joey Janela in that spot. Somebody that -1 has history with, going back to the GCW Cluster F Battle Royal from earlier this year. So -1 came out with Man Like Durace, was his hype man, his corner man the whole time, got involved in the match. Joey Janela put him over again. I said it on commentary last night, and we can use this as a segue into the GCW show that Walter and I covered. I know a lot of people say a lot of negative things about Joey Janela.
Yep.
But going back to that Cluster F Battle Royal, watching the way that he and Megan Bain took care of -1, put him over, and then ran it back here, put him over, even though Janela got the victory. But just the way that he would flop and sell for -1, I find it very hard to say anything negative about Janela.
And we have to...
Whether you like him personally or you don't, it's kind of the same way I feel about Logan Paul. he's taking care of the next generation. Joey Janela is making sure that -1 has positive experiences so that he wants to continue down this road, this passion that we all love. And I commend him for that.
And I want to also add to that. Not since, well, no, I don't even think, I might be wrong in saying this. We're literally watching this kid grow up as we speak.
Mm-hmm.
That never happened. I don't think it ever happened with Dom. I don't remember the last time this ever happened where we starting from, you know, him being -1 to the Brody Lee tribute show. And we're seeing this kid legit grow up. I said it to Noah yesterday. I'm like, dude, this kid looks like a young man.
Yeah,
man. Like a kid no more.
I mean, the only other comparison I could think of is Izzy Moreno when she was the young little hugger in my NXT.
Yeah,
but
might be the only other one.
But how? No, because Izzy's not wrestling. Was she wrestling at that age too?
No, she wasn't. You do have a point there.
But that's what I mean. Like this kid is everywhere, and and let's not forget he has an AEW contract as soon as he turns 18.
That's true.
Right.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, so we're seeing this seeing this kid grow up in front of our eyes.
It's beautiful to see the business grow before our very eyes.
Oh yeah.
So
there you go.
And it just comes full circle, the fact that he was a part of that.
I just
part
ahead,
of
JJ.
the
Hold
part
on,
of
go
the whole
hold
thing.
on.
Go ahead,
Go
Nick,
ahead.
you were saying?
No, I'm just saying it was cool yesterday that he was a part of the Dark Order stuff, because I mean that's your next. I was saying it to Noah. I'm like, Preston Vance would be a sick leader to replace Brody Lee, but there's really only one leader, and until that kid is 18, that's your leader right there.
Damn right.
I mean, he's 13 now. You know, I just did the math while we were talking about it. His father died when he was 8 years old. So we've literally kind of seen him since he was like 7, 8 years old on camera, and he's 13 now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many other matches he's had aside from actually participating in the Cluster F. If that's his first match, he won his debut. You know, and he's undefeated as far as I know.
That's insane.
And he was again that Brody Lee tribute show. He was a part of that.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't for him and the kendo stick to MJF's head, right? Like,
where would we be? No,
he's
respect.
Yep.
And Noah makes a valid point. Like, the only other person I can think of is Izzy Moreno. You know, and even she wasn't on camera the entire time. Like, we kind of lost track of her for a couple of years.
Yes, we did.
You know, whereas -1, you know, while not weekly on camera, has consistently been on camera like every year doing something with the Dark Order and AEW.
Or in GCW like he was on this weekend.
Yeah.
Even occasionally featured in the crowd for WWE shows.
Yeah. So transitioning over to the GCW show, I'll go to Walter first since he's here now and his microphone's working. What would you say the highlight, and if there was any, the low point was for GCW Boss of All Bosses?
Well, unfortunately, I'm an advocate, along with Noah and you, of women's professional wrestling, but unfortunately on the GCW, the low point was Elena Black and Priscilla Kelly. Just some miscues and missteps from Elena Black. It wasn't as bad as, I watched it again, it wasn't as bad as watching it live, but that's pretty much the only low light. If you don't like violence, then Tremont versus John Wayne Murdoch, that would be your low light. But to me, the freaking match was awesome, and the light poles and the area was a little bit much. But Effie and Atticus, they went hard. Shotzi and Matt Cardona went hard. The I Quit match. If you know the story behind the I Quit match with KJ and Orso, that KJ Orso and Sam, that was the highlight of the match. And the fact that I called it, I was like, his wife, it's gonna come down to his wife, and that's the only way that somebody quits, because it was too much. It was a little bit much. Like I know James cringes when he sees that box of razors, but that came out in that match, in the I Quit match, and several other matches. But literally, KJ dug that freaking thing of razors into Sam's face, and Sam was bleeding buckets upon buckets. Like, literally, it looked like his forehead had a forehead. Like, it was the way the meat was hanging, and he would just not give up until his wife got involved, and KJ threatened his wife. I think that pretty much, it was hard to follow the I Quit match after that. They were the match of the night. I think they stole the whole show, and I kind of felt bad for everybody who had to follow it, but I still think, like, the man called Manders was able to follow it, not to the level of it, but also the tag team. This is why they put the tag team on it. Alex Price and Jordan Oliver has really putting tag team wrestling on the match, and it's one of my favorite parts of GCW. They were able to defeat Ninja Mac, who really impressed me, and Dante Leon, and they retained the GCW World Tag Team title. But at first, it was because it followed that I Quit match, it was the crowd was kind of worn out, but they quickly turned them around and really, really, really got people to follow it. So, like, it was smart way to line up the card, to do the I Quit and then go right into that tag team match. YDNP is slowly becoming one of my favorite tag teams, and GCW is like right top tier company right now, and they're really out there to look for it, man. GCW has been impressing the living hell out of me lately.
Nice. No, I agree. I agree. Every time you see YDNP, especially in the match they had this weekend, it was like they always show out. They always have one of the better matches on the weekend or on a card. Jordan Oliver, Alec Price just seem to have those very early on, like PWG style tag matches. Like, they're really, really good at mastering that type of style. So they're doing a hell of a job here.
Yeah, I don't dispute with pretty much anything Walter said. As much as I was looking forward to Priscilla Kelly, Elena Black, the former Gigi Dolan, and the former Cora Jade, like I told Walter on the card, I feel like they went out there wanting to prove to WWE that WWE fucked up by releasing them, and they tried to do too much too fast and ended up botching on some spots in the early going, which really kind of made it look bad. More so on Elena Black than on Priscilla Kelly, to the point where you're like, well, maybe they made the right decision by releasing y'all, because if you've been in the system for that long and you're botching like this, maybe it was the right call. I do think Priscilla Kelly tried to do her best to save Elena Black. Elena still got the victory, which I thought was questionable. And this is coming from a huge Elena Black fan. Who am I kidding? A huge Cora Jade fan. I'm still getting used to her being Elena Black.
Yeah, that's fair.
But coming from a huge Cora Jade fan, I still thought it was maybe the wrong call there. But I still think KJ Orso and Sam Stackhouse should have been the main event.
Mm-hmm.
I tweeted Brett Lauderdale that and was like, please make this the main event, because I knew, just looking at the story and the video package they threw out that I shared in the group chat, how hard it was going to be to follow that story.
And you were right, by the way.
And they threw it in the middle of the card. And I was like, well, okay. You know, it's like, hey, it's a pay-per-view. Let's open with Hell in a Cell. Shawn Michaels and freaking The Undertaker. Let's make that the opening context.
That'd be like if
everybody's got to follow that. It's like,
yeah, that'd be like that would be like what AEW pulling that and putting the freaking world title match in the story that they were telling in the mid portion of the show. It makes no fucking sense.
Yeah,
like it's just, what the fuck are we doing here? You know,
I get it wasn't a world title match, and you want to have your championship be the anchor, the highlight of the night.
Yeah,
but you weren't going to compete with that story.
You just weren't. Even I showed Noah the video package ahead of predicting Evolution. His jaw was left dropped and he was virtually speechless. And he knows next to nothing about the angle. That's how good the video package did at selling the match.
Yep.
You know, Walter's absolutely right about YDNP and their placement. They were the perfect team to try to be the buffer. I would have felt so bad if they put Elena Black and Priscilla Kelly to follow that match. It would have been a very WWE thing to do, to put the women out there as the buffer, the cool down.
Yeah.
After seeing the match, it might have been the right thing to do. But YDNP did the right thing because they knew it was going to take work to get that crowd back. So they started slow.
Yeah.
They didn't pull out all the stops right in the get. They let the crowd have their moment to breathe and get their breath back before they started hitting their big spots. They worked that match and built it up perfectly.
Yep.
I told Walter and James, I don't think you'll disagree with me as much as you've covered GCW with me. As of right now, July 12th, halfway through 2025, YDNP is my tag team of the year.
Oh, yeah.
All companies.
Yep. I agree.
They are just so good. And they came together out of happenstance.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you go back, you watch the Joey Janela Spring Break show. Alec Price went in there to challenge for the titles. His partner was injured. He went in there solo. And Jordan Oliver came out mid-match to be his partner, and they won the title. And ever since then, they have just been cooking. They have clicked, and there is something very special about them. I can't put my finger on what it is, but there is just something special about them, to the point where my eBay shopping cart has a replica of the GCW tag titles because of them.
Wow.
That is how bad I want a replica of those belts, because of them. That says a lot.
Yeah, because you barely buy any replica belts
Anymore because they're so expensive. There was a time when I had quite a few, and I hawked a good chunk of them because I needed money.
Yeah.
So now it takes something very special for me to purchase and pull a trigger like that. And that's a testament to them as a team.
Yep. 100.
The opening contest, 6-person scramble, phenomenal action. Jack Cartwheel was in there. Bobby Flacco was in there. Cappuccino Jones was in there. So Walter was able to get his coffee puns. He found a GCW Mamacita and Dulce Tormenta.
Nice.
I don't remember. There were 2 other people. I forget who was in there, but those 4 really were the highlights of the match. And anytime Walter gets to do the coffee puns for Cappuccino Jones is a good daycater.
Oh, yeah.
It was,
and it was just made even better because I'm sitting in a Starbucks as he's making coffee puns.
It was Gringo Loco and Flacco, Bobby Flacco, the other 2.
I said Bobby Flacco. I couldn't remember the other one. Gringo Loco was one, but there was one other guy.
Gavin Ash?
Gavin Ash, yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Not familiar with him, but that was a fun opening contest. YDNP traditionally are the ones that are thrown out there to kick the shows off because they're a great team to get that crowd hot and hype. And I was a little bit surprised they weren't the opening contest, but when I saw that match get added kind of close to the last minute, I knew that was going to be the opening contest because the WWE ID prospects in there.
Yep.
Like Walter said, Atticus and Joe and Effie was phenomenal. I thought Atticus had it. Vandal 48 doing Vandal 48 things. Atticus's brother Otis, his cousin Christian Napier out there. Man, I thought he had it, but very much like WrestleMania 40 and kind of like I saw some of the results of All In. We'll get to that shortly. Effie didn't come alone. He had backup plans. He knew the way the Cougars roll. One called Manders came out there, got involved. Mac Tremont came out there, got involved. Joey Janela came out there, got involved. All to help Effie kind of keep his title and not let Vandal 48 take over GCW. So some great storytelling there. But yeah, just all in all, it was a solid show. I really liked what they did with Ricky Morton and his son Terry. What was supposed to be 2 singles matches got lumped into a tag team match.
Yep.
So it was Ricky Morton and I'm forgetting who his partner was. Oh, it was Manders versus Kerry Morton and Mance Warner. So that was real fun getting to see Kerry and Ricky fight each other. Ricky taking his son out to the woodshed, getting some good whoopings on him.
Nice. You love it.
But all in all, it was a great, fun show. And I've said this pretty much ever since WrestleMania weekend, and I will echo the sentiment here now. People need to stop sleeping on GCW.
Yep.
It's not just a garbage wrestling fed like a lot of people want to peg them as. Yes, they do extreme hardcore wrestling, but that's not all it is.
Nope.
It's very much ECW from 95, 96, where you have the technical wrestlers like Benoit, Malenko, Saturn, Shane Douglas. You have the high flyers coming in, like Mysterio, Psychosis, Juventud, which later evolved, of course, with like RVD, Jerry Lynn, Super Crazy, Jiri. And yeah, you've got the violence. I'm not going to argue that. But that's not all GCW is. It's very much a buffet, and there's a little bit of something for everybody. And if you're not watching GCW, you're sleeping on it. To the point where I got likes this week from Janela, likes this week from Effie, and I got followed by Christian Napier with some of the posts I put out. So definitely going to try to parlay that recognition into content when GCW comes out here in LA September 20th.
Mm-hmm. There you go, brother. So
Ryan, James, talk about the House of Glory show. Ryan, we'll go to you first.
Hard, subject to change.
Yeah.
Almost nothing that was advertised actually happened.
Nope.
Okay. So much so that I have to go to the cage side to even remember the names of some of these people who were on the show. And it just is what it is. The opener was the Cruiserweight title. Supposedly, it was a Cruiserweight title match. Cage side calls it a Cruiserweight title match. They did not act like it was a Cruiserweight title match broadcast, quite frankly. Very impressed with Danny O'Ryan. Very much enjoyed him. Great showing. This is the first time that I've seen most of these wrestlers. Like Nick, I'm going to this very blind. My reaction is the O'Reilly factor. F it, we'll do it live. Type of thing. And honestly, great experience so far. Probably my favorite match of the night. Weirdly enough, I didn't expect it. Main event. Jay Lyon and Midas Black versus Fly Death. Fly Death, from what I understand, come out of Reality of Wrestling. They're trained by Booker T. And quite frankly, they remind me very much of Harlem Heat.
Yeah.
And
crazy.
Eerily similar.
Yeah.
So, they have a future. It's going to be they have a future, and I'm very excited to see where they go. Carlos Ramirez versus Rick Savage. This was a match. I was Team Savage all night until I wasn't, or until the end. I don't want to get too heavy into spoils, because someone might want to go back and watch the show.
All right.
But very impressed with Rick Savage. This Ramirez was an interesting character. I'm not entirely sure if I'll I'm not thumbs downing him by any means. Great performer. Entertained me for my dollar. But I'll definitely watch another one of his matches at least. Jury's still out. The 6-way scramble. This is chaos. I have no words. The shortest Power Ranger on the planet won.
Yep.
Okay.
About right. That's about right.
JD Griffey and Amazing Red, the VIP heavyweight title match. I'm concerned. It's interesting. They had their own little big gold. JD Griffey had this big gold replica that had some machine work done to edge the state of Texas into it. Interesting choice, I guess. I'm really shocked the leeway that some of these things get through IP protection and trademark law. But, is what it is. It's not like, considering half the music is licensed through other means, I doubt Hog is paying for music rights. I doubt a lot of these shows. I watch a lot of Revolver shows, for that matter. The show overall reminded me of Revolver in that nature, too. But, is what it is. Match disappointed me the most because I'm familiar with Indy. I don't know what happened with Indy Hartwell tonight or last night.
Yeah.
It was the weakest match out of everything. It's not for their lack of trying, but it also had the biggest pop. And I'll let James get to that one.
Yes.
But Zilla thought too, and Charles Mason. Mason, sorry. Not Manson. Mason.
Easy slip up based on the name.
Yeah, I'm not going to watch him for that because they're pretty similar. Only
serial killer.
Yeah.
Some serial killer vibes. His whole character is very, serial killer is the best way to say it appropriately. Title for title. So there was several, evidently, there was at least 2 title for title contests in the Lone Star State. But yeah, it was a fun show. I had fun calling with James. I would call more shows, quite frankly.
Yeah. It was good. We had a good time.
Overall, 7 out of 10.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ryan, has anybody ever told you should be reading Robert Munch books to children? Damn, your voice is sexy.
Well,
all right.
Well, we will definitely keep that in mind when we get to SummerSlam weekend because I know we've got like 7 or 8 shows lined up for that weekend too, based across the Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we'll definitely need all hands on deck again. So
probably. To Ryan's point, very good showing. Honestly, my match of the night was also the main event. They're right up there with YDNP, probably my second favorite tag team on in any company right now. I think they're just very, very entertaining. JJ, you and I called a couple of their matches, and they were really fun to watch. Love the whole circus get up between those guys. I think it really, really did a great thing there.
Sorry to interrupt you, James, but when he did the thing with the hula hoop,
and
he did the tope out, like
it was sports entertaining.
Seeing a man that large fly like that, I feel cheated.
Yeah, true. So that was fun. A little bit more crossover. -1 was not the only one that did a little crossover, as Ryan alluded to. You and Walter, you guys saw Shotzi in the Matt Cardona match. She pretty much booked it straight to Hog to annihilate the Hog Wrestling Women's Champion, Indy Hartwell. So we are going to be getting a Shotzi Blackout versus Indy Hartwell match in the near future. So
man, he's all over the place. MLW, HLG, GCW, good for freaking her.
Yeah, there you go, man.
I believe their next show is High Intensity, which is SummerSlam weekend. So I wouldn't be surprised to see it happen there.
Yeah. My second best match of the night, I'd say, is the JD Griffey Amazing Red match. I really, really, really enjoyed that match. JD Griffey.
Question for you.
Yes.
Has Amazing Red lost a step?
No. I don't think so. I think he slowed down purposely, but no. I'm sure you put him in a exhibition style match, he can knock it out of the park. He's gonna.
Curious because it's been a while since we've really seen Red. I think we've called him once on a Hawk show.
Yeah,
but most of the Red stuff that I've seen is from almost 20 years ago.
Yeah,
so I'm curious if he slowing down intentionally is one thing as opposed to losing a step. So that's why I asked.
Yeah. I'm telling you, the thing I'm looking forward to the most is High Intensity, because that show is going to feature Ricochet and Amazing Red. I'm telling you, there's no way they're going to slow down for any reason then. So yeah, I'm excited for that one. So yeah, I
think you piqued Noah's interest with that match. He seemed to get a little excited there.
Yeah, it's a good match to have. So. They announced that they're going to have that on High Intensity. But no, it was a really good match. I will say Amazing Red put over JD like $1 million. Like, he looked like a killer out there. JD used to be a part of the former Shane Taylor Promotions in AEW. He has since left AEW, found his groove in the indies with this whole VIP champion gimmick. Basically apparently has joined American Top Team, Dan Lambert's group. So that's a thing. So just figured I'd put that out there.
Well, VIP Wrestling isn't a gimmick. It is a company. Me and Noah did a tournament. It was leading into Rumble Weekend.
Yep.
Where they crowned the VIP Women's Champion. The first ever was an all-women's show.
Yep.
But VIP Wrestling is a company. It was supposed to be Jordan Grace at that show, but she ended up pulling out because of her Rumble debut the next night.
Okay, so that answers.
So it's not just a gimmick; it's a company, which explains why the state of Texas is engraved in it. Because a lot of the promotions that are featured on Title Match Network are Texas-based.
Well, that answers our question from last night. There, Ryan. There you go. Go ahead, Nick.
I have a question, and I don't. Hopefully, this doesn't spark any. Keep on the right track. JD wasn't on that show.
No, he was not. The fourth show.
Yeah, not to get too far off in the weeds.
Yeah, that's why I didn't want to.
No. You're good. It's a legitimate question. Not to get too far in the weeds, but to address the situation. Since James and I have done quite a bit of Hog shows, we have not heard JD from NY206 do a Hog show since the Mercedes one when he was removed from commentary before the match. He was on that show prior to the Mercedes match, was removed prior to her match, and we have not heard him back on a show since that show.
And that is now confirmed because he did come out in a video saying that she did that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
wow. He did that to himself, but yes.
Well,
hold on, I'm not going to argue this, but I think he's done. I don't think he's ever coming back. Charles Mason tweeted that he's not done a show outright and to come watch the show. So I don't think he's coming back ever.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think he got permanently removed. So, regardless of how you feel about him, some may say that it's a good thing. Some may say that it sucks that he got removed from his longtime position as lead play-by-play commentator. Kind of is what it is. Go ahead, Nick. You got your hand up, but you're muted.
No, I was just playing the smallest violin.
Oh, okay. Yep. I know he's an acquired taste. I know not everybody likes him. I find some of his stuff entertaining. Not everybody does.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah. No, I just asked because I didn't.
No, it's a fair question. That's why nobody's mad at you for asking it, and it does tie into the conversation. So
yes,
it was able to be addressed, kept simple, and we can keep on pushing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should, because Walter looks like he's about to pass right the fuck out.
Yeah,
Dude,
right.
he's tired.
Yeah, we
He's
got
still
2 more
trying to
shows.
back up and moving. He pulls up on Tuesday.
We still got
He's
3 more
out.
shows to cover, basically.
Oh Lord.
But yeah, overall fun show. I recommend watching it back, even though it was very much card subject to change, as Ryan said. The only bad thing, as Ryan pointed out, was the women's match, unfortunately. So, Walter, you are not the only one that unfortunately had that realization. So, overall fun show.
Expected nothing and was still, relatively speaking, entertaining.
Exactly.
Card
What's up,
subject
Walter?
to change is also GCW. My God, every time we get something, they throw something together, like those 2 singles that got turned to a tag team match. Twice, James and I covered something. They put 2 matches out of freaking nowhere with people we never even heard of, to where we made up a name for a team and find out the freaking name of the team was actually that name we made up.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, to Walter's point and to Ryan's point from earlier, imagine if GCW and House of Glory decided to do a joint show. Oh my God, that absolutely would completely combust everything, because then they wouldn't stop changing shit on the fly.
You might as well not even announce the card.
You know what? I wouldn't be opposed to it, though, because I like House of Glory and I like GCW.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd love to see some of these people interact more.
Sure.
You know, there's already a little bit of crossover with people like Charles Mason.
Yep.
You know, so I could definitely see it coming down the line. And especially since GCW has partnerships with both JCWs, Jersey Championship Wrestling and Juggalo Championship Wrestling. And keeping with the circus theme, I'd like to see main event versus Brothers of Construction.
Oh my God. Yes. Yes,
like
please.
Just something about that would pop me, because for those of you that don't know, Brothers of Construction comes from the Juggalo camp, so they're 2 clowns with huge floppy shoes and everything that wrestle. So like I would just love to see them versus the main event, which one dude is like a lion. So it's like, come on, just the gimmick sells itself there.
I could hear Jim Cornette from all the way in Kentucky. It's a goddamn clown show. Sorry, had to. I saw the moment. I saw the opportunity. I had to hit the joke.
Well, it would definitely be something there, James.
Something!
Oh, gee.
I had to do it because DJ popped into the chat there. Shout out to DJ.
I'm so fucking tired. Oh God.
Well,
I'm shocked you were able to even do that, to be honest.
Right?
Well, we'll take a brief intermission here. You know, we've finished Friday now. We'll run our watch along trailer real quick, and then we'll come back and we'll get into all the stuff from today.
Sounds good.
So we will be right back.
All right. And now for a taste of things to come.
And as always, we like to. Oh, fucking hell, I'm tired. Fudge this gimmick. You all know what it's about by now. If you don't, just listen to this as much as I can say it. Oh, the wrestling. Something.
There it is. There it is.
What's up, Big G? Good to see you in the chat as well.
Hi, G.
Hi, G.
Oh, my
So that brings us to today. Walter and I had a double feature of WWE content while Noah engaged in 7 hours of All Elite content.
The greatest night of my life.
AEW will definitely be, like I said, the last thing we discuss.
As it should be.
Datilla in the chat there. Shout out to Datilla.
Hey.
Link is in the Shenanigans chat, my friend, if you want to come on in and join us. So we'll start out with Saturday night's main event. We'll just get that out of the way real quick because it was a 4-match card. It wasn't a horrible show. It wasn't a great show. It was pretty much everything I expected it to be. Started out with Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton. Drew McIntyre came to the ring with Logan Paul. Randy Orton came to the ring with Jelly Roll. The entire point of this match was to set up a tag team match for SummerSlam, which they did. Jelly Roll, like a champ, ate a Claymore kick. And Randy Orton felt so bad about it because, you know, that was his guest at ringside. And he put him in harm's way. But Jelly Roll sold that shit, took it like a champ. I highly recommend finding the clip of that and watching the way Jelly Roll ate that and sold it.
Did he do a Rikishi bump?
No, because he was like already like low because he was checking on Randy Orton. And Drew just came out of like side view of the camera out of nowhere. Boom. And Jelly Roll just dropped.
Damn.
Wow. From there, it went to Solo and Jimmy Uso. It was what it was. It was hard hitting. It was fun. It kind of proves the point as to why Jimmy was never the breakout star when it came to him and Jay. There were a couple opportune points where I thought Jimmy was going to steal it, but Solo had Hikuleo ringside, he had Jeff Cobb ringside, he had Tongaloa ringside. The numbers were too much. Post-match, they did a beatdown. Jacob came out for the save of Jimmy. Meh. LA Knight versus Seth Rollins was a banger. Seth went for a springboard into a senton and then went for a springboard into a moonsault, jammed his knee. Early reports are that it's a legitimate injury. Seth was supposed to get the victory over LA Knight, but they ended up doing a quick finish where LA Knight hit a BFT out of nowhere, got the pinfall. We were wondering if maybe this was a ploy for a setup for a cash-in later in the night. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. They showed people in the crowd. Doug Dillinger, former head of security for WCW, was there. Doug Dillinger was the guy who always used to knock on Goldberg's door, escort him, so having him there was kind of cool. DDP was there. Steiner Brothers were there. They showed some of the women in the crowd ahead of Evolution tomorrow night, including Jade Cargill. Jade got up to take a bow and kind of waved to the crowd. Naomi came from behind, clocked the shit out of her. The two started brawling. Agents had to come and separate them. Nick Aldis then introduced the special referee for tomorrow night. Bianca Belair is back. Came out looking lovely as ever. Main event, Gunther versus Goldberg. You know, people are going to have to just watch it. That's the best that I can say about it. For me, it was everything I expected. I expected Gunther to carry Goldberg. I expected it to be more than 5 minutes. I expected Gunther to bump around and sell like crazy for Goldberg. I expected there to be moments where Goldberg actually looked like he was going to win. All that happened, but Gunther retained. Put Goldberg to sleep. I did feel a little bit bad for Goldberg because Gunther rolls out of the ring immediately after his match to give Goldberg the stage. They immediately cut to commercial. We were like, holy shit, is it over? Did they really end like this? Come back, he's in the ring, surrounded by family, friends, DDP's out there, Doug Dillinger's out there, his son's out there, et cetera, He gives a little 30-second speech, and then they cut him off. And I get time constraints and everything. But if constraints are that big of an issue, you couldn't have gone to commercial.
Yeah.
I feel like Goldberg should have had the opportunity to address the fans properly.
Yep.
And I'm hoping that WWE uploads the entire video to X, YouTube, whatever, so that we can see the full speech.
I believe they already have, by the way.
But I will say, whether you like Goldberg, whether you don't like Goldberg, whether you think Goldberg should have had this match, whether you think he was out of his league 100% from the jump, give the match a watch because I feel like Gunther did. I feel like Gunther brought the best out of Goldberg.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll just leave it at that. Walter, you were on commentary with me. What do you think?
I agree with you 100%. And just piggyback off the last thing you said, I criticize production more than Gunther and Goldberg's match itself. To me, that's what deserves the critique, not the actual match. Because they did the best of their ability, but production was just a little weird today. And the old saying, "This ain't ballet." I feel bad for Seth, man. This is the worst timing if it is in fact legit.
Yeah, man.
Hopefully he's okay. Maybe he just jammed it and he can still be out there in a talking role until he completely heals, because we've seen the workhorse he is last year at WrestleMania when he was hurt and he went out there and you can see his leg go like this when he got involved with the whole Shield angle last year, or sorry, WrestleMania 40. So hopefully he can still be out on TV and everything. I don't want this group to lose momentum, especially after the fantasy booking I gave on our stream. I was really hoping what I said would come true. So, but yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with everything.
Yep.
Did anybody else see the end of Saturday night's main event after All In ended and want to speak on this match?
I will speak on the actual Gunther thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
So yes, I wanted to say the little I have seen on social media looked like it was a damn good match. Gunther, I knew was going to carry him to probably his best match of his career. And I'm probably not going to be wrong in that, other than maybe Hogan. You can maybe argue Hogan.
I'd say maybe the match with Brock after Brock had come back from the UFC.
Yeah, maybe.
And they kind of made up for the WrestleMania 20 debacle.
Maybe, yeah. But I knew this was going to be a good one because of who was involved and who his opponent was going to be, and it was Gunther. They did great, as per usual. And yeah, everybody knows my thoughts on Goldberg. I made it no secret. I think he's a piece of shit for what he did. That said, what the fuck are we doing? How do you not give this dude, who is synonymous with Atlanta, just uninterrupted fucking airtime? Because you really had to get your goddamn stupid advertisements out of the goddamn way? Really? You had to be that much of grubby pieces of shit that you couldn't just let Goldberg have his fucking moment? I mean, you already ruined his goddamn credibility if you in fact force him to not put over fucking Bray Wyatt. His reputation's forever fucking damaged. You can't let him have that. Are you serious?
In fairness, commercial breaks are usually dictated by the network. I just think it was poor formatting and placement of breaks. They could have formatted their schedule so that the commercials were better placed, and that could have gone on commercial free.
Yeah, but like,
but the networks dictate how many commercials need to be taken for their sponsors. So
then I kind of blame the company for not fixing that from the beginning. Then, because at the end of the day, you should, if you wanted this many commercials and you also wanted Goldberg to have his moment, you needed to do something to give him that moment. In that case, what was the women's match on the card?
There wasn't one.
I'm sorry. What was the segment they had on the card with Bianca Belair?
Yeah, it was just them showing the women in the crowd ahead of Evolution, and Naomi coming out blindsiding Jade to kind of add some heat to their match for tomorrow, making Naomi look strong so that we can basically predict that Jade's going to get the W.
Why?
You could have cut that segment.
Yes.
I know where you're going.
Why didn't they just do that on SmackDown?
I don't know.
That's ridiculous to me. Why didn't you just do that on SmackDown? Like,
or the fact that it kind of came right after the pull apart brawl.
Yes.
That was set up with the Drew Orton match. It was like we had two pull apart brawls kind of back to back.
Yeah.
It was like, so don't do the one for Drew and Orton and just do this one.
Yeah, I not a fan of that. Other than
Go
that,
ahead, Ryan. I see your hand up.
In defense of WWE, there were no women's matches on the card.
You're not allowed to defend WWE.
It's crazy it's crazy how I do nothing but hate WWE, right? In defense of WWE, it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. If they did not have any women at all featured anywhere on the show, they would have received some level of backlash. I don't really think WWE gives a shit one way or the other, but that's the reality. What would have happened? People would get on the internet, get on their high horse, and bitch and moan and bury. That is what it is. I've been looking at this Seth Rollins spot for the better part of. I'm sorry. I will wait. James, do you want to finish your point?
No, yeah, I finished my point. You're good.
Okay.
Go on to the set spot. You're fine.
I've been watching this for a minute, quite a few minutes actually, just watching it back. It looks good. He did a springboard, came down, landed on his knee awkwardly, and then proceeded to do another springboard moonsault and then land on that knee again, which it looks more than jammed. I'll say that right now, just on that. I hope he's fine. But this is what I would do. You know, there's a creative opportunity here for WWE that they've never done. They've never just let someone forget that the briefcase exists. Right? Fun one for you. I know I'm getting into the weeds fantasy booking here, but don't move the briefcase. If he has to have surgery and he has to go off somewhere for a few months, don't take the briefcase off. Make us forget that he has it. And then, boom, presto, one day, 8 months from now, returns, stomps someone's head into the ground, new champion. Great way to return him already. He already has a built-in return policy or storyline to work with, right? So, this is what it is. That's my thoughts. Sorry if I got into the weeds there.
No, you're fine.
No, you're good. Anybody else want to give their thoughts on what they saw for Saturday night's main event?
Go ahead, Nick.
Everything you described sounds boring as shit.
when you're putting it up in comparison to what AEW was.
No. There's no. I'm not comparing. I'm not.
I'm just saying, as somebody who didn't even watch All In,
yeah,
it was what it was. You know, I mean, the entirety of the show was built around Gunther Goldberg. Like every commercial break, they were showing Goldberg highlights because of the perceived retirement. So that was the selling point of this show. Everything else was pretty much filled. But
watching Noah douse his head with water is way more entertaining than that shit.
Because he knew that the meat and potatoes of the show was Gunther and Goldberg, and he loves Gunther, but like everybody else on the panel, pretty much no one here can stand Goldberg.
Bullshit!
So
Don't you use those food references? Don't use those food references. It wasn't meat and potatoes. It sounded like slop and crab.
It was
as long as Noah found out
Sloppy
that
Joe.
Gunther won, he wasn't going to care.
Sorry. Just call it a Sloppy Joe there, Nick. There you go.
Oh, yeah,
that's a food reference that works for your mind, you know?
Sloppy
As far as the Goldberg can't wrestle propaganda, he could always wrestle. Okay? If he's wrestling someone who can actually call the match. But most matches that Goldberg has ever been booked in, squash, 5 minutes or less. There's not a lot you can get done with that, right? Regal got a decent match out of him. Diamond Dallas Page had a great match out of him. The Ring General getting a great match, or at least an okay match out of Goldberg at 60? Here's what it is.
Ryan, you reciting your Burger King order in that voice sounds way more exciting than what I just heard from JJ.
I don't like Burger King. It's Wendy's.
Wendy's for me too, although Burger King's gotten better. You should give them another chance.
Anyways.
when Nick is like doing like, don't talk about food. Give it back to the host. You know we're fucking up here.
Who does Nick's give it?
So from there, we'll go to Great American Bash, which started the day. It was a solid show. I will say that. Was it one of NXT's better PLEs? Debatable.
Yeah.
But I didn't think it was a horrible PLE. The highlights here were definitely the women. You know, the North American title match between Sol Ruca and Izzy Dame was better than it had any business being. I expect greatness from Sol. I didn't really know what to expect from Izzy Dame. Izzy Dame showed she deserved to be in there. She deserved to be champion. There were some spots where she was just beating the piss out of Sol, and I thought she was going to get it. Walter did too. But Soul Snatcher at the end of the day was all it took. And Izzy went down to Sol Ruca. Ricky and Ethan Page for the men's North American title was a banger. My only beef with it was a Falls Count Anywhere match, and the result ended in the ring. You know, they did leave the ring. They did brawl through the stands. They brawled by concessions. They brawled, by merch. You know, got put through the merch table. They brawled over by the entrance ramp, but the decision ended in the ring. That was my only beef with that. And the Vanity Project, which I expected to play into this, did not play into it at all, which surprised me a little bit because I thought they were going to try to get their gift back from Ricky Saints vanquishing all of them in a gauntlet match on Tuesday to get to pick the stipulation, especially since one of them is the Evolved Champion. So that kind of made the Evolved Champion look weak. You know, be able to get some semblance of get back. Ethan Page did retain the title. Ricky did not win, which I called that. Obafemi versus Yoshiki Inamura, match of the night, in my opinion.
I'm not surprised, but with the two caliber of wrestlers in that ring, to be honest.
This was the first time I legitimately thought Obafemi was going to lose the belt.
Really?
Inamura brought it to Oba. And by the end of it, Oba had no choice but to respect Inamura.
Well, there you
Oba
go.
has been basically made a babyface by the fans, but like he respected the shit out of Inamura to the point where they had a backstage segment afterwards where they were kind of face to face, and Briggs came into it. Briggs was hot, man. I see some tension here building between Briggs and Oba, and possibly even Briggs and Inamura. But this was the first time I legitimately thought Oba's title was in danger.
Now I'm gonna
because I told Noah when we simply predicted this, I was like, "What's one of the IWC's biggest complaints when it comes to NXT, WWE, and their partnerships? WWE gets the better end of things." I was like, "So is it really out of the realm of possibility that the pro wrestling superstar, the Noah superstar, who's on excursion over here, who left to go back to Japan and came back again, came back because of some reason that they were going to put the title on him, even if it's just because Oba is looking at a draft come the middle of September."
Right.
You know, is it that far out of the realm of possibility? You know,
It's over.
Raise your hand in this room if you thought JC Jane was going to beat Stephanie Vaquero.
Nope.
So was it really out of the realm of possibility that Inamura could have defeated Obafemi?
That's a fair point. Yep.
And Inamura showed that he could have been that champion.
You know what that kind of reminds me of, JJ? The way you kind of described this match between Yamura and Obafemi. It's very much similar in the respect that Don Fry and Yoshihiro Takayama had with each other after their MMA fight, which was a goddamn great war. If you have not seen that MMA fight, you should, because it's one of the greatest MMA fights of all time. Yoshihiro Takayama just brawled and slugged with Don Fry to the point he had no choice but to respect Takayama, to the point where they became like best friends after that. So, sounds like it was a similar thing here, and now I kind of want to go back and see how good this match was, because it sounds like it was a fucking banger.
It was, dude. And then that wasn't even the main event. The women's tag main evented with Jordan Grace and Blake Monroe versus Fatal Influence.
Huh.
And as good as that match was, I don't think it lived up to the NXT World title match. Blake and Jordan worked well together, better than I expected. Obviously, Fallon and JC have chemistry from being together for a bit. Blake Monroe pinned JC Jane, though, for the W. So I'm curious to see how things are going to progress, because an argument could be made that Blake deserves to be in that match tomorrow now, turn it into a triple threat. She pinned the champion. You know? And Blake Monroe isn't on Evolution.
Huh?
So there could really be an argument there that Blake could get added to that Jordan Grace, JC Jane match. And if it ends up happening, I called it first, y'all, too. So I expect the recognition on the air.
You'll get your recognition.
Walter, your thoughts on Great American Bash? And then if anybody else saw any of it, you're free to give your thoughts. Go ahead, Walter.
Walter, you get on mute, buddy.
Yeah, I was trying to find my mouse. Like, without the pad, I put the pad away, and the freaking desk makes the mouse slide. It's kind of hard to find a pointer sometimes.
Fair enough.
Yeah. My sentiments exactly. I legit thought Oba was about to lose. Like, especially when he hit that crazy slam and sorry, not slam, the splash. And it's like the red herring that his partner had the title and everything. There was a point where there was a ref bump that I think I counted 10 or 11 on air. He should have won the title. He legit should have won the title, but the referee was out of position and was knocked out for so long. I think, right, JJ? I think I got up to 11. Like we both literally counted while he was pinning. He had Oba down for 11 seconds. He should have been the champion. So there might be a rematch for Yoshi in the future, but he definitely has a case to make it. And I said this might be the beginning of Blake's heel turn, because I just feel like her character it screams heel to me. It's like it shouldn't be a face like that. Pretty, need my hair done, and I'm full of myself, and I conceited. You can't. She's pulling it off because she's new and like she's the flavor of the month right now. But once she sinks her teeth into the NXT run, people are gonna start to boo her. Like I just feel like that's not a face kind of character. So I feel like this may be the beginning of a heel turn, and that's why she got the pin, the NXT champion, because then it becomes, well, how come Jordan gets to keep this title shot when I deserve it? I beat the champ too. Or if Jordan wins, I get the first title shot, and then friendship over after that. But the PLE, yeah, it's not the greatest thing NXT has, but they put on a hell of a show. But sounds like you guys had a hell of a time with the 7 hours. So like,
yeah, yep.
I'll give it back to JJ so he could toss it around for the rest of the stuff.
Well, that brings us to AEW All In. And before we go to our lead voice and even our lead color, he's been very quiet during the show because she didn't really watch or participate in any of the other watch-alongs. So I want Ash to speak first on AEW All In. Go ahead, Ash.
It was fun. It was really fun. I liked it. I am so tired. I was not expecting it to go that freaking long. Listen, I'm used to like 5 hours and shit. 5 hours, 4 hours. But it was super long, but it didn't feel super long though. That's the crazy part. It did not feel long at all. I had such a fun time watching it. There was like a lot of pleasant surprises. Like the only downside about it is just, God damn it, fucking Adam, you can't stay fucking healthy for shit. Like the fucker is not gonna wrestle no more. And that makes me sad. And now I'm sad again. Fuck my life.
Yeah. And it did look like it was more than just injury this time. It looked like he was very there may have been more on top of all that.
I'm sorry to be such a downer, but damn, that kind of took me out a bit. Don't worry, happy about Ashley is coming back soon. The main event was solid. I love deathmatch shit.
Yeah.
Thank God Toni Storm retained her title. All I gotta say about that.
Mm-hmm.
Both Casino Gauntlet matches were very fun.
Yep.
That's all I gotta say about the show.
There you go.
Fair enough. Noah, we'll throw it to you.
Good fucking Lord Almighty. If that wasn't the best pay-per-view this year, the best pay-per-view in CAW history. Gave me everything and then some, damn it. I mean, even the 0 hour was fun. Outrunners and FTR running back that classic from Collision. Outrunners are so damn good. And FTR only makes them better, I think. Again, had them this close, but Stokely halfway, that annoying freaking gnat, allowed FTR to once again get the win here. Now FTR have aspirations to be, AEW World Tag Team Champions. Seeing the Sons of Texas as a whole, Dustin Rhodes, Sammy Guevara, and the Von Erichs, and seeing the Iron Claw by Kevin Von Erich was pretty cool as well on Anthony Go-Go. The big boom AJ spot that we saw, it is what it is with that. It was fun. I'm not going to lie. I mean, shoot. Big Justice, he got future in his business, man. He can pull off a pretty damn good spear. Spear Rock Romero was out of his boots. I was kind of surprised by that, honestly.
I'm still laughing at the fact that AJ had Choco Chunk cookies on his tights.
Of course you are. Either way, damn it. The conglomeration won. And then, of course, we get into the actual card, starting off with the Trios Championship match. Solid opening affair by the Death Friars and Gabe Kidd. Some good exchanges with Gabe Kidd, Katsuyori Shibata, Samoa Joe being the murder machine that he is, and the end ups retained. But it gave a little bit of foreshadowing, I felt like, when it came to domino effect for the night and whether or not this was going to culminate somehow into all-out war, which kind of it did. But the Ops may have retained the titles, but Claudio neutralized Samoa Joe and then double stomped the back of his head and neck with a steel chair around his throat. As he was taken out, me and everybody here were wondering, well, that's a bit of a moment there. What the fuck's about to happen now, right? And then we got the men's casino gauntlet match. And, of course, Mark Briscoe, MJF came out. We got all the intertwining storylines. We saw some unique alliances, faction showcases from the Don Callis family to Bandito and Brody King working together. The Mask MO came into play for MJF, including the encounter with Mystico. And we got to hear Mystico's theme again, which I still can't sing. And we, of course, heard that moment amongst the 25,000 plus there. So that was pretty cool. MVP on coming like, turn that shit off. That was just kind of freaking funny. MVP coaching MJF from the commentary. In the end, there are more bodies than I can count, from Beast Mortals, Roderick Strong, Ricochet, Rock Hard, Juice Robinson made a return. And it looks like we might get a trios feud with the Guns, the Bang Bang Gang, as the Guns return against Ricochet in the Gates of Agony. At the end of the day, though, of course, Mark Briscoe, he did the work, hit the J drum, Roderick Strong, MJF like a thief in the night. He capitalized, and of course, you all can fill in the rest. I think no one was surprised by that. That was probably most people's primary, including mine. And then, of course, we segregate from there to like just everything else. I also want to talk about what Ash talked about to the point. I never worry about the clock or how long it was. This show was well-paced, gave its breathing moments, and had some incredible entrance showcases. Of course, we had the unique fatal four-way with the Adam Cole situation. Adam Cole got a chance to come out first, speak towards everybody, talked about how much he loves this business, gave 16 years for it, how much he loves AEW, how we have always been there for him through his highest, through his lowest times. But due to health issues, he is going away now for a period of time. And again, he doesn't want to use the word retirement, but based on that embrace, the emotion on his face, it's hard to say when we will see Adam Cole in a wrestling ring again. So I'm very curious to see what the future is for him and the Paragon, for that matter, as we immediately transition that fatal four-way. Good dynamics there. Follow up with Kyle Fletcher, Daniel Garcia, Dustin and Sammy had a bit of a fallout at one point, but I cannot say how warm it felt for me in my heart to see Dustin Rhodes, of all people. Gotta give credits too. He fucking called it during the 0 hour when we made the match official. Dustin Rhodes with the schoolboy got the win and became the face of TNT. And again, you all know me by now. You know how much I believe in the phrase keep stepping, perseverance, my respect for the Rhodes family and Dustin Rhodes particularly. I met him back in AEW 2020 before the pandemic, just to learn a little bit about him being part of AEW and hear a little bit of his story. I've always hold that near and dear. To see how many times he went after this title. He was part of the inaugural tournament. He faced Christian Cage for it at one point, and he still never got it. But to your point, JJ, it was literally Cody Rhodes that was the inaugural champion. Now, 6 years, newly signed AEW, there's one that's right continuing. The emotion overcome on Dustin Rhodes, by all of us for that matter, being perfectly honest here.
Yes.
Dustin Rhodes winning that, the title being handed off by Aubrey Edwards, seeing that was a reality, was one of the best moments I've seen all year in professional wrestling. It was truly beautiful. And then, yes, JJ, pause.
I watched that clip while we were on intermission between Great American Bash and starting Saturday night's main event while I was eating my dinner. And I'm not going to lie, I got emotional and started tearing up watching Aubrey hand him the belt and kind of nodding at him like, yes, you did it. This is yours. Like that hit me in the feels. Like that was so special. And you know how much crap I give Aubrey. But I do it just to rile you up. I've never had a legitimate issue with her. It's
You're still
always
wrong.
because it's always been because of the Jarrett hate, so I hated on Aubrey. But you've let that go. I've got no problem admitting that I've always kind of liked Aubrey. That was special.
That was
Damn
so
right.
awesome, dude.
Granted, I know what happened at the end of the night. That was my moment of the night for me as far as All In goes.
You want to say something real quick, James, about that?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, and I'll give my thoughts on the rest of the show when you're finished. But when I saw Dustin hold that belt up with all the Sons of Texas beside him, like that was such a special moment. Like,
And his own kids, by the way, his nephews.
yes, his nephews were there. The Rhodes family out in full force. Like that was really, really dope. And not just
Hoisting
that,
him up on their shoulders.
Not just that, but like Dustin finally getting his just due. Like the fact that he holds 3 fucking championships.
38 years later in the business, over 50 years of age.
That man is riding high, man. Like the Rhodes family has been eating good the last couple of years. So you gotta love and respect what we see here out of Cody Rhodes and Dustin Rhodes, man. The dynasty there is awesome. And just seeing Dustin finally get his moment is a beautiful sight to see. So good shit, man.
Nick, I see you pondering something. You got something to say real quick before I continue?
Yes, I do, sir. Let's also keep in mind Kyle Fletcher was not a factor.
That's right.
In that finish.
That's right.
No, he wasn't.
From what before this, I was listening to the post show, conference. And we were having this discussion, and this is one thing I wanted to talk about. We were having this discussion on Twitter and stuff like that. Could you say that Kyle Fletcher injured Adam? You could, because that powerbomb spot a couple weeks back, it's pretty gnarly powerbomb spot, right?
Yeah, it was super nasty.
And everybody, you heard everybody say that, oh, Kyle injured him. Everybody was blaming Kyle. But we can't forget.
I wasn't.
There were some people online that were blaming Kyle, and
I'm just stating my case, but yes, I know I've seen people blame Fletcher.
But the thing is, Adam wrestled after that, and some of us are in the same group chat, and I said that same thing, that Adam wrestled after that injury. So I don't think Kyle hurt him. Tony apparently on the post-show media scrum, from what I heard when I heard it, was that it must have happened in the trio match on Collision. Because the decision was made to strip him. Like, they found out he was injured was relatively early this morning. So for those people that are blaming Kyle, you can't blame Kyle. So I don't think Kyle was the one who injured him. Now they can play it off as storyline, and you can say that Kyle hurt and whatnot. But for those people outright blaming Kyle, I don't think it's really fair until we know exactly what happened.
Exactly. Well said, Nick. And speaking of Kyle Fletcher, he got a brand new kick-ass beam. Brian, you want to say something real quick?
Yeah, he did.
The Adam Cole situation is very unfortunate. And Nick's brought up a very valid point that he has wrestled, I think, multiple times.
Yeah.
Since that incident.
Yeah.
Hypothetically speaking, I just want to bring this up because it connects to something else that has occurred tonight. Okay. Someone who gets a lot of hate for something that was an accident or reckless or whatever. Bill Goldberg is usually often credited for ending Bret Hart's career, despite the fact Bret wrestled 9 additional matches after the fact. Okay? And the fact of the matter is, everything that has happened, Bill gets a lot of hate for that. And this has the risk of people attaching Adam Cole's injury to Kyle Fletcher. Which may or may not be the case. It may still be something else entirely.
Exactly my
Okay,
point.
because when you look at it, when you look at Adam, when you look at it, there's a chance that Adam's going to be back in 2 to 3 months. They would have just slapped interim on the belt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
They determined that it's going to be an indefinite amount of time to just strip him of the belt entirely and send him on his way. We don't know what's going on. And quite frankly, we might not ever actually know. You know, the risk of sitting and theorizing and, for lack of a better term, conspiracy, right?
Yeah.
About man's health when we don't know anything. Okay? Like, what happened to Brett was unfortunate, right? What appears to have happened with Adam is unfortunate. And people get blamed. This is why I'm going to try to shut down Kyle did this, discussion until we know anything better,
But I will say, to Ryan, I'm gonna play devil's advocate though to Ryan's point. If it was the spot that Kyle, it was that powerbomb spot that with Kyle, then I put some, and this is gonna be a hot take. You can agree with me if you want. I put some of the onus of that on Adam because if you knew you were concussed at that point, why wouldn't you go to management and say something?
Well, I mean, again, a wrestler is their own worst enemy. Sometimes a wrestler doesn't want to show that humanness because they risk losing their spot or they risk that they may not be able to continue. And to be fair, Kyle Fletcher did that apron bomb spot again on Daniel Garcia. So whether or not people want to speculate that Kyle Fletcher was at fault, clearly Kyle Fletcher is using that in his storytelling.
to rebut that, kind of. In the rewind history, when was the last time any of you watched Bret Hart versus Goldberg?
I've never watched the Bret Hart match in my life, and I'm from Canada.
Yeah, you're weird. We know that it's okay though.
I appreciate that for honesty, though.
It's okay,
The
yeah.
answer to your question, no. And I do see JJ has his hand. So,
yeah.
While you're thinking about that, being like, whoa.
In all fairness, sorry, I'll let JJ
Hold on,
first.
let
Sorry.
let JJ speak because he's been waiting and he's the host. And then he can send it back to you. And then he'll pass the baton back to me as I continue the card. So, JJ.
Yeah, I have no issue with you kind of taking the lead here since you were the main play-by-play guy for All In. That's why I'm raising my hand instead of just asserting authority here as the host. I wanted to kind of touch on something Ryan said because that was something that kind of left me scratching my head, and it's something that kind of gets talked about in all aspects of wrestling is inconsistency.
Yep.
Red Velvet got injured. They had a match last night for the interim television champion. Adam Cole got injured. Now tonight it was for the vacant championship. Why couldn't Red Velvets have been for a vacant championship? Why did we have to go back to the interim? But Ryan made the point of not knowing how long Adam is going to be gone.
Yeah.
And it could be a 2-3 month situation. It could be a never coming back situation.
Yeah.
But that was something I was thinking about prior to Ryan's point. So I just kind of wanted to get it out there as consistencies because we could have just done it for a vacant championship.
Yeah, well, clearly they see that Red Velvet's injury is not as, extensive because clearly after that face-off in Supercard of Honor, Nina and Red Velvet are going to be set up for a day where they will face off for the true Ring of Honor Women's World Television Championship. Adam Cole is apparently much more serious.
Before I turn things back over to you, teleporting in via the Morphin Grid.
Literally.
Tatilla is here.
Hello,
What is that? Tatilla right now. Noah's kind of going through the all-in card. So good timing.
Okay.
Walter, I see your hand. Tatilla, good to see you. Walter, what you got to say real quick?
I just want to put it out there that we shouldn't like really speculate or look to blame anybody. People know what they sign up for in this and he said health issue. He didn't say injury. So we don't know. He could have went to the doctor and they found he got a heart defect or something. Shouldn't have been wrestling in the first place, or he could have some kind of spinal thing. Just like when Edge came out, you can't blame Alberto Del Rio, who was his last match, and say, "Oh, he did something to his neck and now he can't wrestle." No, it's the doctor. It's just the timing of the doctor finding something. So we don't know what it is. So let's not try to blame
Exactly.
people.
You can't blame Mr. Kennedy for Eddie Guerrero's death because that was his last match.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Trey Miguel, he's going to be at some adversity, but he's not competing because he's going to be going out for hernia surgery, something I can relate to. Anyway, Ash, you wanted to say something earlier regarding the whole Bret Hart Canadian disconnection.
Yeah, I was about to say it's not that I don't want to watch a Bret Hart match. It's just that I haven't gotten around to making the time to watch it because I'm the type of person who binge watches wrestlers. So I haven't found the opportune time to binge watch a bunch of Bret Hart matches. So
I'm going to give you your starting point. WrestleMania 10, Bret versus Owen.
Yeah,
arguably the greatest opening match in WrestleMania history.
Accurate.
Yep.
So there you go, Ash. Go on to Peacock, or if you're in Canada, you might still have WWE Network. I don't know if VPN.
I'll give you a good list. I'll give you a good list from all sorts of places.
I might be able to find him on Canadian Netflix.
Most likely.
Netflix. I love how we're just calling Netflix over there Canadian Netflix. I love that.
That's international Netflix, and Canada's international. Anyway,
it's bullshit Netflix.
Well, that's only because, well, I mean, also he's Canadian, so I mean, he has the right to say that. All right, anyway. Ryan, you had your hand up already. What you want to say something real quick?
I will come back to the final point I was making because it's kind of irrelevant. It's in the weeds, but it's relevant to the Adam Cole, Kyle Fletcher discussion. But it's more other things.
Fair enough.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, because again, no one's Jim Ventura and no one's a doctor. Anyway, back to the regularly scheduled programming. AEW, and again, good pace. They gave breathing with video packages at times, talking about DraftKings, talking about their partners. So again, they're learning. And then talk about the stars coming out. They hurt people. The Hurt Syndicate coming out. I swear, this is the most complete, best dressed overall faction in professional wrestling with every tool to own this business. Quite literally, as literally MVP could still freaking mixtape. Who knew? West Side Gun, the singers of the Hurt Syndicate theme, came out and gave a live rap performance to the Hurt Syndicate all the way down the ring, and MVP even took the mic singing the theme as we got into our triple threat for the AEW Tag Team Championships with Jet Speed and the Patriarchy. It was wild. It was high flying. And again, Shelton Benjamin, I swear this is the best he's ever looked in my life, given as a suplex clinic. It was anybody's game at times. Christian Cage looked to the ultimate opportunity. And at the end, FTR was also special guests on commentary. And that kind of play in the finish, carrying on what they were talking about earlier on the 0 hour, but also when the Patriarch and FTR teamed together on Collision. And the Hurt Syndicate, by the way, didn't look like they had anything less than 100% at all. They ran roughshod, even with MVP scouting and also MJF interference. Mama Wayne even got involved at one point, and Kip Sabian. But due to a miscommunication into FTR, it was literally Christian Cage that got speared out of his boots by Bobby Lashley, and the Hurt Syndicate retained. But that was not the only story here, because afterwards, Nick Wayne, you may want to watch that out for your kid, turned his back on his father and took him down with a kill switch and looked to give him a final death note with a concerto before Adam Copeland returned. And FTR goes there past him and the hell out of that stadium as he saved Christian Cage from that with Spike and gave Christian Cage this simple sentence: go find yourself. To be continued. I think for the longest time, you of one particular people of a crowd called for a team that reeks of awesomeness to find them an AEW run. You very well might be getting it very soon as the Patriarchy left Christian Cage high and dry. Mama Wayne, Nick Wayne, Kip Sabian, Christian Cage is on his own once again. and Adam Copeland saved him. Did he save him from himself, though? Time will tell. And then we got into the tag team match with the EVPs of AEW, and James did traditional nope during, of course, the Young Bucks entrance that came in on a boat with a scroll talking about the history of protecting this company from evil. Have you looked in a mirror lately? But prior to that, Will Ospreay with another phenomenal entrance inspired by Assassin's Creed. Why Swerve Strickland was summoned to the ring, botch number 1 by this Hebert, talking about how Samantha Irvin sung Swerve Strickland into the ring. It was JoJo.
It was
Bray Wyatt's
JoJo
wife
Osborne. I'm sorry.
that sung Swerve Strickland to the ring.
I did a wrestle
Army songs. Of course, Swerve Strickland being a mogul of both wrestling and music. That was an incredible touch. I love the Firefly Titantron, by the way. That should have been your freaking giveaway, you idiot. And anyway, it was a very interesting match. It was kind of the story of the biggest match of the night. It started slow because of Swerve and Ospreay's inexperience in tag team wrestling. And the Young Bucks, why, again, you don't like them. They still are heavily accolade in tag team wrestling. Wrote a book on it. Things really picked up, though, to the point that the Young Bucks were using Ospreay and Swerve's own communication against them. I nearly jumped out of my seat 2 or 3 times over. I thought the Young Bucks were going to win, and even when Swerve and Ospreay were going to win. At the end of the day, it took a combination, exposed, final hidden blade. This man's storytelling failed, folks, and a house call. Swerve and Ospreay won, meaning the Young Bucks are no longer EVPs in AEW. I couldn't be more fucking happy. And James, why he was no, I couldn't imagine what his reaction was. He was very.
I'll tell you my reaction. Now that the Young Bucks are no longer EVPs, whether it was in kayfabe or reality, I can now watch Young Bucks matches again.
Oh wow, he's no longer doing no. Well, you know, a gimmick died. I'll be damned. All right.
Oh, I mean, they're no longer EVPs, so I don't have a fucking reason anymore.
I suppose that's true. Anyway, moving on to the women. Maybe Ash, you want to talk a bit more about this. Talk about the talent showcase, the returns, the show-ups, and the intertwining storylines. That women's casino gauntlet was nothing but awesome and ballistic.
It was. Oh my god, I loved how they opened it. They're like 2 of my favorite women's wrestlers right now. I love me some big, tall, strong women.
Statlander and Megan Bain, of course, to your point. And then we got all the intertwining storylines. Willow Nightingale, Willow and Chris picked up at one point. Chris and Megan Bain double choke slam Willow. We had everybody, including Ty Mello. There was interesting to see the escorts of some of these women. By the way, Julia Hart and Sky Blue are known as the Sisters of Sin. I love that tag name. Julia Hart was a legal competitor. Penelope Ford was not a legal competitor.
Hold on. Another idea I came up with on this very show, and you could quote it because I did literally say on somewhere in this program or on Spaces, probably both, they should be called the Sisters of Sin. They have now gone with the Sisters of Sin. Yay me! I contributed to wrestling.
In both the worst and best way, and you're still not getting royalties.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to this match. Everybody got involved. Fekla, Queen Aminata, they renewed the hostilities. Athena showed up from last night, as well as Thunder Rosa, Penelope Ford, not a legal competitor, but was there for Megan Bain to help her. Harley Cameron came back, made her feel the wrath, and Anna Jane Harley Cameron ran Penelope Ford out the building, while Sky Blue was helping Julia Hart for a duration. There's a very unique connection with Thekla and Julia Hart. I can't place my finger on it, but that's something to do with spider suplexes and tarantula maneuvers. Maybe you all get an idea. I don't know. I'm just saying.
There you go, James. There you go. That's how you make a spider.
And of course, we also had the newly signed All Elite Alex Windsor, Mrs. Bruv, enter the fray as well. And also on excursion now, the former World of Stardom IWGP Women's Champion, Shuri, who confronted Athena in the early going. Things broke down between power, agility, rivalries, and interwoven stories across the 8 Women All-Stars and potentially your women's tag team scene all throughout this. One of the most ridiculous spots was that powerbomb by Chris Statlander to Megan Bain, where Megan Bain was literally crushing everyone else underneath her due to Statlander. Statlander was a freaking force to be reckoned with. In the end, Mina Shirakawa, yay, Mina, of course, working over, I forget who it was. I think it was Thunder Rosa, of course.
It was Thunder, yeah.
Exaggerated back. She was looking for that glamorous figure 4, and Athena off screen hit the office, and Athena won the Women's Casino Gauntlet, Meaning now not only is she truly AEW, she has a guaranteed AEW Women's World Championship match anytime she wants. But honestly, I think I love the Women's Casino Gauntlet more than the men, showing the potential and the incredible talent that is the depth of the AEW Women's Division. It was fucking incredible. Yes, Nick, I see your hand real quick.
Let me unmute myself.
Please do.
James, what are you doing?
He's very happy about
I'm
Athena.
dancing because Athena won. Don't mind
Yes.
And
Yes.
fair enough.
Athena won. Y'all were calling me crazy. I knew that this bitch was going to pull it out. Something about it just screamed that she was
Something.
pulling it.
Something.
There
There you
it
go.
is.
Sorry.
He couldn't escape it last night either. I just want you guys to know that.
You literally
Wow.
can never
Nice.
That gauntlet was fun. That gauntlet was fun. I kind of wish we saw some other surprises. A certain dentist, maybe. A certain American Gladiator, maybe. But
Virtuosa, maybe.
maybe.
Again, there was more than enough bodies. There were more women, I think, that were involved in this gauntlet than there were in the men, including outsiders. Not even Billy Starks was an actual participant.
No, yeah, I found that a little bit odd how there were like did those women just not want to be in the match?
Yeah, I was wondering why Billy Stark wasn't in the gauntlet as well. It was just like I was going to say something about it, but I was like, nah.
It looked a little bit weird because it's like you're having these girls stand. So you're telling me Anna Jay doesn't want a guaranteed shot at the World Championship?
I don't know.
That didn't really jive with me. One thing I will say, I'm happy for Athena, but once Athena won, you kind of knew what was setting up for the rest of the night. And I want to touch just for a quick second. I want to just touch back on the tag team match. From the tag team match and before, I really felt like this show was at first gear. It wasn't quite there yet. Once that tag match with the Bucks and Swerve hit, the show took another gear.
Oh no,
and that's when I think that's where the show really started to pick up. And yeah, like the women's gauntlet match was great. It's my question now turning to where do we go with Megan Bayne in particular?
Good point. Well, but now before Megan Bayne, Cena goes to their past and Harley Cameron wearing a mask right now. Remember, she's coming back from a busted nose, and Ty J still has a victory over them. And maybe some 6-woman action through violence. People have been clamoring for women's blood and guts, and Sky Blue and Julia Hart been clamoring for that. The Sisters Sin, of course, will be involved at Pro Wrestling Eve Forbidden Door weekend. There's a lot of big what ifs, but there's also a lot of rivalries being built out of this that could lead to some interesting stories. I mean, hell, Queen Aminata is still looking to take the head off against Thekla. So again, who knows?
And I was just gonna say that. Thank you, Noah. You jogged my memory. Shout out to Queen Aminata and Thekla. They beat the shit out of each other.
I loved it.
Wow.
I loved it.
Those two are wild.
If you told me that on Dynamite on Wednesday, you're getting Queen Aminata versus Thekla in a no holds barred match or at best 2 out of 3 falls match, I'm in. And as much as I hate to say it, because you don't want to wish injury on anybody, Queen Aminata is very fortunate that Jamie Hayter got injured when she did. Because that was Jamie's spot. That's Jamie. That was Jamie's feud. So the fact that Jamie got hurt and they shoved Queen Aminata in there, that's big.
Yeah, I mean, when an opportunity presents itself, why not capitalize on it? To tell you haven't speak that also, I'll let you speak, and then I saw Ryan and then for a moment, so we'll pause the rest of the show before I talk about the triple main event. And Justifiably so on this show. Go ahead, Attila. What you
Well,
got to say?
first of all, just to elaborate on Nick's point, sometimes an unfortunate injury is a blessing in disguise for another wrestler.
Absolutely.
You know? And I have to say, I did like the Casino Women's Battle Royal. I did like it. Yeah. Although I'm not gonna lie, I kind of did miss the old format. When they went by the actual casino.
Oh, the deck of cards, 5
yeah,
at a
the
time.
deck of cards. Yeah. But how many did they use all 21 women in this match, or is it? I lost track.
I lost freaking counts. I was just going along with it. Because again, random intervals. The beauty of these gauntlet matches, you don't know who's coming out, and that's because you don't know pretty much the participants. You also don't know when they're coming out because they come out random intervals. The only thing you knew was 1 and 2, and of course the first pinfall submission. That was the winner of it too, and it didn't happen till way down the line. For all we knew, there was another woman waiting in the wings.
But if you notice though, there's the big difference between the women's gauntlet and the men's gauntlet is in the men's gauntlet, every person that because if you saw in the lower corner when they were promoting the show, for the men's gauntlet, they had more than just MJF, Mystico, and Mark Briscoe. They had the other guys, and all of those guys came in. But for the women's gauntlet, it was the only two that were advertised was Megan Bayne and Chris Statlander.
Well, they wanted to probably pick up where they left off with Bandito and Brody King versus Josh Alexander and Kenozo Takeshita, who are a force to be reckoned with. We saw that tag team. Ricochet did announce that we wanted to call his shot to be in the gauntlet. And again, you didn't know which number anyone was going to come out either. But to your point, 6 of the people we saw in the men's casino gauntlet beyond 1, 2, and Mystical, they were indeed showcased on that graphic, and they got their chance. Not everybody, but at least those people. So I do get what you're saying. I love the fact they didn't do that for the women. I kind of found odd they did it for those men, because at the end of the day, I like that suspension of disbelief that these gauntlet matches always give. And the women, again, definitely did it. And then we go... Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to make, because I know that Ryan had his hand up, so I just wanted to make a point after Ryan spoke. So, yeah.
Ryan, what do you want to say real quick?
As has been said, when a wrestler gets hurt, someone's got to step up. And props to Queen Aminata for stepping up. I say this a lot. Maximize your minutes. Right?
Yeah.
Queen Aminata maximized her minutes. And I hope that she's able to continue to have this run. And I do hope that eventually when Jamie Hayter is eventually cleared, that she doesn't automatically lose her spot, or it's taken from Queen Aminata at that point, since it really wasn't her spot at the time. But now it is. So, find balance, right?
Yeah. And they've done that quite a bit with the AEW women's division, particularly when you looked at the depth showcase of that casino gauntlet and the stories they might be teasing or already continuing. It would not surprise me if we get Thekla and Julia Hart versus Queen Aminata and insert name here. I'm all in for it. All right. Nick, you got something to say real quick?
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to touch back on the men's gauntlet.
Okay, we're gonna do a little comparison. This is interesting.
Yeah, no. We have to. I want to give a shout out to that gauntlet, because that gauntlet set the stage. Once MJF won that gauntlet, you know what was going to happen in the main event.
Yep.
So it was kind of like.
I want to rebut that immediately. You don't outright, because he could hold that contract for however long that he wants.
That's
Mox
right.
could have retained. Mox could have retained tonight.
And he also beat Mox for the title.
Yep.
But it goes back, and we've all been on spaces with each other, except for Noah. And I've said it repeatedly. It's natural, and we'll get to the main event when we get to it, but it's just the natural progression of where we have gone for the past 8 months. And I know that Ryan loves the Death Rider story. And in that Death Rider story, there has been inklings when you had the MJF and Hangman interactions.
There you go.
Yeah. It's just the natural progression of where they went.
Yep.
Mystical got his full entrance.
I loved it.
Like, this dude got his entire. Tony must be paying out of the wazoo for that song.
Yeah, probably.
Dude, and the fact that Mystico was there, he was on the ropes, and you hear MJF in the background, like the little details. Like MJF in the background, I was like, what are you doing? Why are you waiting? Like, why?
Mental warfare.
Dude, and then again, the fact how MJF won that match after talking shit about Jay Briscoe, or to Mark Briscoe about to Mark Briscoe about Jay, and the fact that he won off of the Jay Driller, that was like.
He never had a negative thing to say about Jay. Only Mark.
Exactly. And off Mark's work, MJF like a thief in the night, got the schoolboy on Roderick Strong, got the win.
Yeah. It was just the things that the attention to details in that match, outside of the giant scope of the match, were pretty good and nice to see that they paid. It paid off, and it built to what we've seen in the eventual triple threat main event.
And to your point, talking about the triple main event, as they so elegantly called, of course, as the first one was Mercedes Moné, the CEO, with a cheerleading squad, wearing her 6 titles, and that incredibly large robe, I know, JJ, showing all the names that Mercedes Moné has beaten here in AEW, going an undefeated 25-0, while, of course, Thomas Storm has the strongest singles record this year at 15-0, a match of the quality of the single title holding record 4-time AEW Women's World Champion Thomas Toni Storm taking on Mercedes Moné. It was unique to see the different type of aspects in the entrances. And for those that don't know, Timeless Toni Storm did a Twilight Zone entrance. You have entered the Timeless Zone. It was absolutely ridiculous.
And I loved it.
Of course you did.
Now, was that entrance creative control or creative input, though?
Oh, God, no.
So why don't we talk about the match a little bit, shall we? Again, it was the story of the matches where it felt like, again, we started slow, didn't go straight up 0 to 100. It was very technical. Again, both of these women wanted this match against each other for a decade since they left their previous company and figured out who they were. And literally, we saw the technical side of both. Of course, Mercedes Moné was working over the legs of Timeless Toni Storm, multiple meteors, multiple German suplexes, dropped her on her head, and then Timeless Toni Storm, of course, countering, crossface chicken wing counter to the statement maker. And then it got really physical and really unique. From everything from a loop press to throwing fists, these two women threw down at AEW All In. And me and Ash and James, for that matter, we were kind of on the edge of our seats thinking that Moné was going to win. And at one point, she even hit the Moné maker, but Thomas Toni Storm kicked out, and the shock on Mercedes Moné's face, where she kicked out of that, Mercedes didn't know what to do. To counter that, hip attack Storm Zero, Mercedes Moné kicked out. They threw everything at each other, their best moves in the kitchen sink. And then it got weird. What was the weirdest call of the night? There was a tombstone pile driver attempt, and someone got bit in the V, and that was a counter, to say the least. Yeah, let your minds wonder about that. That was an actual thing. At one point, we saw a headbutt and a freaking rising knee strike. Now, both these women down flat on their feet. Both were looking to hit a death note seal with a kiss. And at the end of the day, a trios of even Storm Zeros didn't put down Mercedes Moné. It took going to the high-risk district, Avalanche, Storm Zero, still with a kiss. And ladies and gentlemen, Mercedes Moné lost. Timeless Toni Storm is still the AEW Women's World Champion and has handed Mercedes Moné her first defeat in All Elite Wrestling. I'll let you all think about that for a moment and breathe, because I see the excitement.
My reaction was, oh my God, Tony, I love you, you bitch.
Fair enough. James, anything further you want to add regarding that match?
I'm happy. Yes, thank you, Toni Storm.
I just see Nick and Ryan giving us schoolgirls below me. So until then, these two real quick. Nick, you want to talk about that real quick?
who is, maybe you guys can answer this question. Who is the teacher from the wrestling club in New York City? You know that group on Twitter that Taylor Perry?
Oh yeah, the TYC, the wrestling club. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
He called it, and I shared the post with everybody. The whole storyline with Mercedes Moné was about the 7 deadly sins. And Toni Storm, at first interaction that they had on Dynamite, she said it clear as day. Mercedes, you want all those belts. I only need this one.
Quality versus quantity. The tale of this match. Tale of this story.
And I would love to hear those AEW don't tell stories people now.
Tonight they told more than enough stories. I'm not even done yet. Ryan, you have something you want to say real quick?
I just love the fact that
Cook, Ryan, cook, buddy.
I just love the
AJ's
fact.
job.
I just love the fact that she used her creative control to say, "Hey, Tony, I want you to pile drive me from the top rope
to
the mat." I don't know how many of you've actually seen under the mat. So under the apron, there's that. There's a little bit of foam, and then there's wood.
Yeah.
That's a hard part of the ring.
Yep.
Right? Okay, so many people were going to crash out tonight if Mercedes had won. And I would have been here for the tears regardless, because quite frankly, be disappointed, trolls. Either way, regardless. The right ending happened. The right woman won. The story was there. Nick, the tweet or the thing that you shared a month ago was right.
Mm-hmm.
Now we get to see Mercedes fall, and now not only does she get to put over, Tony, elevating Tony, right? But now she has the job of elevating 5 other women as well across the world.
Yeah,
basically.
And when she's done with that journey, she will get to come back to the apex of the mountain and become world champion, possibly become world champion, because as long as she is focused on all of these other things, she can never have the one thing that matters.
She said that this would define her legacy, this would define her destiny, and destiny denied. She, of course, is still the TBS champion, but a very fine point. Dattila, is there anything you want to say regarding this match and this outcome?
I actually did not watch this match. I took a nap during
fair.
the triple threat tag team match.
What?
Yeah.
Guys, you gotta remember, she also is extremely busy, and she's not me. Fair enough, I respect that. So,
And I also did not watch the Texas Death Match because my mom really wanted to watch Saturday night's main event.
I respect that. That's fair. All right. Well, that being said, go ahead to tell anything further you want to add regarding the result.
I do know that Toni Storm did beat Mercedes Moné, which I feel like it was the right call. Mercedes did not need another belt, especially when she has a TBS title. So it was the right call. But I definitely got to go back and rewatch the matches that I missed.
Good girl.
And just sorry, before JJ goes and again. Tony won clean.
Bingo.
Clean as
Aubrey
a
Everett's count of the
whistle.
3. Yep.
Nice.
Aubrey Everett's count of the 3. That Avalanche Storm 0, Monet was done. The CEO went bankrupt tonight. Well, tell yesterday, if you're here on the East Coast. Hello, JJ.
Still Saturday for us.
What do you think?
Hello. So, first of all, I want to say fuck you, Nick, because I feel like you're calling me out as one of those people saying that AEW doesn't tell stories. But I will say this. Even though I've kind of half-assed paid attention to a lot of wrestling in general these last couple months, and I shocked the hell out of Noah when we simply predicted Great American Bash because I haven't watched an episode of NXT in like a month because I've been working a lot on Tuesdays and I just been getting caught up on other stuff on my days off. I've kind of been Datilla. I haven't watched. I think Datilla's watched NXT more recently than I have, which is crazy.
She nods her head no.
But I digress. But the little bit I've been paying attention, I will say that AEW this year has gotten better at telling stories. That was one of my biggest complaints with AEW for the longest time. It would seem on the surface like Tony Khan would just reach his hand into a ball pit and pull out random names and be like, hologram, Beast Mordos, go have a match.
That's not a bad thing, though, honestly.
Yeah, I like Beast.
Just randomness.
Yeah.
But Noah said it himself. They're starting to show more video packages. They're starting to take more breaks in between matches because that was another one of my big complaints, is that they wouldn't give you time to breathe in between matches.
Yep.
And Noah mentioned that right at the outset of it, is that they gave you a chance to breathe in between matches. So it looks like AEW is starting to learn from the mistakes that me and some of the other IWC members were calling them out on.
Yep.
And I give them that. I take nothing away from that.
Yeah.
I'm glad Tony won. I'm glad Mercedes lost. I would be lying if I didn't sit here and say I was surprised. Especially with Athena having won the gauntlet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a little bit.
Because I totally expected Mercedes to win and Athena to catch it. And that be how we started Mercedes' demise. Because in my brain, where does Tony Storm go from here? He's beaten pretty much everyone on the roster. If Mercedes had won, where does Mercedes go from here? She's pretty much beaten everyone on the roster. So for Mercedes to win and Athena to cash in and take it right off of her, even though Athena's been the forever champion of Ring of Honor, that's got jack to do with the AEW roster. Even though there's crossover. That still has nothing to do with the primary AEW roster, so we're starting fresh. So I'm curious where we go with Tony and who her next challenger becomes, because she's pretty much beaten everyone.
So,
but I'm happy.
So I just want to point out two things. One, okay. I like I mentioned before, Athena is officially a part of the AEW roster. Apparently that was announced tonight. Not announced, but it was said during the post-show media scrum. So we're going to get Athena, I think, more now than before. Thank God.
Yep.
Second, in regarding to the title matches, apparently Tony said he will be discussing. Somebody asked him the question of, will these contracts that the men and women of the Casino Gauntlet won, are they cash-in opportunities or what? He never said they were or weren't, but that he will be talking to the winners to decide that. So we will get an announcement on that relatively soon.
The way Christian did was a cash-in opportunity. Yeah, I do remember.
Yeah, I don't need that again. I don't think these contracts should be that, personally.
So
I think they did establish that they could be however they want it to be because it's their opportunity, correct? That was stated in the beginning.
I don't remember. All Tony said at the post-show scrum was he'll be talking to the winners to determine how the cash-in, if it will be a cash-in a la Christian or a call your shot like Darby Allin.
Fair
The
enough.
natural either babyface way or the heel way, I guess you can say.
Well, either way, they still have control over the opportunity. At the end of the day, that's the most important thing, to win. And that's what both Athena and MJF did. Ryan, you got your hand up real quick before we talk about the other of the two.
Completely backtracking a little bit. This has been kind of updated through the night. Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland are EVPs of the company officially.
What?
Not officially as in Kate, as in a shoot, but on the roster page, they have EVP titles.
Oh, wow.
So that's something
storyline
that.
EVPs. Okay,
Well-
that's pretty cool.
Well, remember they did say that this wasn't for the EVP status, so I wonder what changed, right? Because that was
you need somebody to help Tony Khan manage the roster.
maybe because that was the stip. The stip was you drop the EVP titles, and Swerve said it's not like we want them. So the fact that they're changed on the roster page lends me to believe something might happen on Wednesday.
They just came up with They just basically came up with a new story for them. What are you going to do next? That's
No
the question
kidding.
that's often asked. What's next?
Yeah.
Well, here's power. Figure it out.
Well, I think it's safe to say that Swerve and Ospreay will use power in a brighter way. If you looked at Ospreay's work in Pro Wrestling Eve in the UK British scene, and you talk about Swerve Strickland, who's helped wrestlers, including helping those wrestlers out of those Lucha Underground contracts. So this could be very interesting. Yes, JJ, I see your hand.
I just wanted to address Emmanuel's comments here real quick, even though they're not super chats, because he's saying Athena's going to go the babyface route and call her shot while MJF cashes in. This is a horrible idea. Whatever the outcome is, it needs to be consistency.
Agree.
Yeah.
Otherwise, people are going to have an issue with it.
Yeah, and Tony Khan's not going to do that with these. I don't think he's going to do
Yeah,
that.
like, for what it's worth, AEW is making steps in the right direction. Doing this is inconsistent, and that's just going to turn a negative spotlight on it.
To be fair, Emmanuel is always inconsistent. Anyway, moving on.
And one,
I
sorry,
mean, when I'm
before-
telling lies. Do you
Right.
still have something else to say, Nick?
Yeah, no. One more thing too. And we have to let's state too for the record, the contracts that were won from the Gauntlet are World Championship contracts.
That's
they're
right.
They're not TNT or TBS.
Nope.
So Athena's not challenging Mercedes for the TBS title.
Nope. Well said.
Nope.
All
Alrighty.
right. Now back to the semi-main. The rivalry renewed and possibly conclude. Kazuchika Okada versus Kenny Omega. Winner takes all for the first ever AEW Unified title. Of course, we got the over-the-top entrances for the Rainmaker alongside Don Callis. Don in black, the colors of Antonio Inoki, and also as black as his heart and his newfound aggressive, cerebral stance. While, of course, Kenny Omega came out as the final boss, sung to the ring by his Final Fantasy theme, by the very lyrics of the song himself. It's a great live performance. And, of course, Ash and James, to tell this match, Kenny Omega's midsection, his heart and fighting spirit, Kota Ibushi in Kenny Omega's corner, versus the MO of one Don Callis, and the familiarity but the dangerous nature and the driven determination of Kazuchika Okada. James, you want to talk a little bit more about this match?
Oh man, this match was so freaking good. I really enjoyed the story they told. I'm so happy we got a version of Rainmaker Okada back, a heel version at that. I think Okada's back, boys. As far as Rainmaker Okada goes, we just got a little heel twist to him. I'm loving this new Okada, and I love that Dawn is the one to kind of bring that aggressive side out of him. It just makes Okada feel like a whole new person and a whole new gimmick at this point. So overall, loved it. I thought it was the right decision, right call, and really hell of a match to kind of cap off possibly a series. We will see if that is in fact the case.
All right, fair enough. Ash, again, you and I talked about never say never. You think that this may not be the last time. Of course, it was the first time we saw this rivalry. Here in America, it was Okada and Omega 5. At the end of the day, we saw how much work Okada was doing to the core of Kenny Omega and how much it risked his offense, but he still kept fighting back with those overhead chops and those massive, of course, cans to the chest. Both these men were explosive and technical in and out throughout. We saw shades of Kenny Omega's MMA background, incredible desperate counters by Okada to Kenny Omega, all involving attacking the core, whether it was the gut buster or that straight right punch. At one point, he finally hit the one-wing angel, and both men also hit their finishers, Rainbow respectfully. Both men, of course, were able to kick out. And it's also one of those things where I think at the end of the day, we all knew kind of what was going to happen here, considering the Don Callis family have really not gotten to that point of, changing history and winning. Konosuke lost, Casino Gauntlet lost, Kyle Fletcher lost, and Okada right now is the newest, I would say, money train, literally, for Don Callis. And he got involved and it worked in his favor. Stomping the referee out, play, Aubrey Edwards came into play, finishing stretch, incredibly strong, stiff sequence. At the end of the day, it took 3 Rainmakers to put down Kenny Omega, and yes, Kazuchika Okada won and now holds the AEW Unified title.
Yep.
I was wondering when we were going to get this Okada, because I miss seeing this Okada. It's nice seeing this Okada again. Is because like the longest complaints, like I'm not saying Okada was bad, but it's just like I just wasn't feeling was his Rainmaker self, and now he's like, finally, it's about damn time we got to see you. This was a solid match. This was everything I could ask for. I was fine with either man winning. If we do get it to a series, just have it be 3 matches. Like 3 more matches. That's it. Please, we don't need to go like crazy numbers. Because
you mean 2 more matches because we already saw the first one on American Soul.
Semantics, yes. But you know what I mean. But
yes.
Make it a trilogy. That's what I'm trying to say.
I still feel like they don't need to do it again. And according to Don Callis, Ken Omega is done. But again, we'll see. He definitely got worked over. We're kind of pushing the clock, but I will acknowledge, of course, Nick, who has his hand up. Nick, what do you want to say real quick?
Did Kenny get hurt in that match?
Jury is out. His core got heavily assaulted by Kazuchika Okada. That's all I'm going to tell you.
Because Kenny ran out of that ring pretty quick, and the finish seemed a little bit off. To me, at least. This sets up, listen, it goes back to what I said earlier, how Death Before Dishonor led into this event. If you're setting up Konosuke Takeshita versus Kazuchika Okada, that's a pretty good match.
I'd be down for that.
And the fact that he is now holding the unified title, and remember what Takeshita said a couple weeks back when he saw Okada for the first time, he said, "This is only temporary." And Okada's like, "Yeah, okay, no problem."
Yeah, I think Don Callis will have something different to say, regardless.
There'll be something there if they run back another match. I think me and Ash are eating good because they'll probably do it back at All Out. Hopefully.
I mean, to join, I couldn't get tickets.
I can see them running it back out because I mean all the interference and stuff. I can see them running it back.
Right. I'm not going to be watching live, but I'm going to be definitely watching the show. You can quote me on that. We are going to be eating good. We are going to be eating good.
It's going to be a good match. So apparently, again, according to the post media scrum, the unified title will be defended in the Continental Classic.
Not surprised.
This title also has Continental rules.
Oh.
Going forward. So realistically, if this was under Continental rules,
Don Callis would have been fired.
Exactly. So going forward, this title is now being defended under Continental rules.
Right, no outside interference, no seconds at ringside. All right, well, we only got one match left, but I see JJ's hand up real quick, and then Attila will go to you.
We have somebody joining us, but it's just an avatar. I believe I know who it is. It's Jeff Meacham, everyone.
Hello
Hi,
there.
Jeff. What's going on?
I am where I say I am, and you can bet wherever I say I am. Anyway, yeah, I literally just bumped out, so I am in the process of getting back into proper clothes to be on the air. So, hello everybody, how are you?
Extremely exhausted.
Doing well. Noah's running through the all-in card, about to get to the main event.
Oh, perfect. That's what I want to talk about on that show.
Oh, well, perfect. That being said, before Attila, did you have something to say? I saw your hand real quick, or you good?
No, yeah, I wanted to say something. I actually watched this match. I thought this was a really good match. It's actually the first time I see Okada versus Omega because I didn't watch New Japan Pro Wrestling. But it was
Okay. I like
but
that.
As I was watching this match, it was like I could totally hear Noah marking out for this match.
What do you mean by that?
I mean it in a good way.
Call me out, my passion. All right, fair enough.
I meant that in a good way, but yeah,
I know,
this was a really great match. Honestly, I'm glad I woke up from my nap in time to see this match.
Fair enough. All right. Well, that being said, let's go ahead and get right into it, guys. The main event of the main events, the closing match. Heyman's Redemption, Heyman's Last Stand, the Death Riders, Do or Die MO, continuing at All In. John Moxley, Heyman and Page. Texas Death Match. Atmosphere was set. A very subtle entrance as we just heard the quiet whistling performance of the Hangman riding in verbally into AEW All In as the sun rises, but also could set on Heyman's chances to liberate AEW and the AEW World Championship. And of course, and by the way, Heyman came out to his original theme. Tells you really how much he has purged from his past, quite literally to get back to where he once was originally when he first came to AEW. Then we have the Death Riders, of course, ride in style in a big old pickup truck. John Moxley, Miriam Shafir, of course, at ringside. And how do I put this subtly? All shit broke fucking loose. It started with literally him and Adam Page gorging John Moxley's head with a fork. We had broken glass, Tombstone Power Drivers, God Style Power Drivers. We had Swerve. We had Ospreay. We had Young Bucks. We had Death Riders. Maria Shafir is still the toughest bitch, in my opinion, AEW. Took a Death Driver from the Heyman off the apron through a table. Wasn't on factor for most of this match. Countless times, John Moxley felt he had the match wrong and Heyman dead to rights. Also, Ospreay was taken out with a stomp of a chair on his throat. Courtesy of Claudio Castagnoli was a non-factor. At one point, literally, John Moxley put Marina Shafir to bring out the title one last time, the briefcase, and Prince Nana handcuffed her to the barricade, so she couldn't even get involved or bring the briefcase inside. And then things even got more nut and butts from there when John Moxley was taken down with a buckshot lariat, and still the walking boogeyman of AEW got back up. Him and Adam Page survived not only God-style power driver and Tombstone power driver through broken glass on top of his head, but also a rear naked choke and a suplex spot off the apron through two barbed wire tables to the floor. And then it got even more nut and futz when John Moxley brought out a bed of nails and literally threw him and Adam Page face first with a Death Rider and a curb stomp in those bed of nails. Heyman still survived. And finally, at the very end, talking about with no regrets, no apologies, but for Heyman, no holds of his past. Swerve came out with the chain that bound together by circumstance, not only neutralized the Young Bucks that tried to cost Heyman again, but literally gave Heyman the weapon he needed to take down John Moxley. Buckshot leading into the nail bed and a hanging choke with the steel chain. Heyman Adam Page won with also help from Ghost of Moxley's past, Bryan Danielson and Darby Allin descending from the rafters, and Heyman Adam Page liberated the AEW World Championship from that briefcase. Redemption found, and the Death Riders failed. It was their last ride, and Heyman rides high as we went off the air in an emotional embrace by the Heyman, overcome by this 2-year journey to get to this point where, to JJ's point, doing things right, AEW very well may have restored the feeling. And that pretty much culminates what was, again, my preview of the year, and Heyman and Page freeing the AEW World Championship. What an incredible way to end the night. And goddamn, that was a bloody gorge fest. Now, I know everybody's probably got something to say regarding that as I see hands galore, but there was one man that just came in that I know wants to talk about it, and there's also another person that needs to leave here shortly. So, in Jeff fashion, instead of wants to go first, I'm going to let Tatilla go first because I saw her message, then go to Jeff, and then continue with the panel that I know is going to stay. Tatilla, what you got to say?
So first of all, even though I didn't see this match, I'm really happy Hangman Adam Page won because I was so over this Death Rider storyline. I was like, if Moxie wins, retains, then the next logical choice is Darby Allin. But so happy Hangman won this match. I'm really happy. Like like you said, he's been on this journey for like 2 years, and you know what? Like, I'm curious to see where they go now with Hangman Adam Page. You know, I like Hangman. I know in spite of everything that's happened.
All right.
So I still like Hangman. So I'm really happy he won. And I definitely got to go back and see this match because the way you describe it, it's like, oh my God, this match sounds insane.
Fucking nuts, politely.
It was pure violent chaos.
I loved it. I like violence. All right. Well, thank you for that, Tatilla. Jeff, welcome to the panel. Welcome to the all-in discussion.
So,
what are your thoughts?
Good night.
All right, Attila.
Good night, Attila. I saw you got powered down. Follow our folks when it's wrestling time. I'll see you next week for Slammiversary. Let me know your schedule. We still got to officially book that.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, bye, guys. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Power down. Okay. All right, Jeff, what you got to say regarding this main event? Then I'm going to pass it off to JJ, and then I'm going to give it to Nick, James, and a man that has followed the Death Rider storyline as long as I, that might have some unique things to say regarding Jon Moxley and what he did with his run for the 4th time with the AEW World Championship. Jeff, go ahead.
So I wanted to be on camera when I said this because I know I have not exactly been kind to the Hangman ever since the exit of CM Punk out of AEW. So I wanted to make sure that I was in a clear, distinct viewing as I said this. From what I read, again, I've not seen any wrestling yesterday or today, and I probably won't see it tomorrow either. So Monday will be catch-up day, to say the very least. But today seemed to be a day of stories coming to resolution. We talked about Dustin Rhodes, winning the TNT title. I'm so happy for Dustin. I'm so bummed for Adam. God damn, I'm so upset for him right now. I can't even fucking tell you.
The only one.
God almighty. But with Page and Mox, again, I've been outspoken against Hangman Page and what his actions led to, but I will say this. This was as much a redemption story about redeeming the AEW World title and redeeming Hangman Page, the character, as it was redeeming Adam Page, the person, the man behind the character. And I, for one, want to say in a clear and distinct voice with viewership watching me, congratulations, Hangman. Unbe-fucking-lievable. You and Jon Moxley are the two craziest bastards on this roster. And I am definitely tuning in Wednesday night if I can from here. I'll be here Wednesday night. But once I'm off the clock again, I will watch Dynamite. I am that intrigued by what I have heard and what I have seen offline. And the biggest thing I'm tuning in for is to see Hangman Page get his redemption story. Congratulations, Adam. Congrats to Mox. Tony, please give Jon Moxley some time off. Holy fucking Christ. Please. Tony carried Renee off so Renee can have whatever time off she needs.
To be honest, especially after what the fuck he did, and you don't even know what the fuck he did, Jeff.
No, I do. Because I was following along on the Twitch as best I could.
Yeah.
So, but like I said, I will be watching come Monday. I'll be watching everything because Monday is my day of errands and also my day of catching up on the televisions. But yeah, congrats to Paige. I'm going to bounce out here for a second so I can finish completing my journey and back into civilian clothes, but I will be back momentarily.
All right. Thank you for your take, Jeff. Appreciate you. JJ, again, like I said, talking about trying to write a story for AEW that I thought was very linear. Boy, did they flip the script on you tonight all in. So let's go ahead and get your thoughts on Heyman's road to redemption accomplished and a promise fulfilled. What did you think of the all-in main event, just from my take?
Much like Jeff, and I talked to you a little bit about this during the 0 hour while we were waiting for your cohorts to join. Whether you like it or not, you can literally pinpoint the downfall of AEW to that promo that Heyman cut on Punk. Yes, you can trace it to Cody leaving a few months prior to that.
Yeah.
But even after Cody left, they were still doing okay. That moment is really what kind of set them on the downfall and their downward spiral, because that led to Brawl Out. Brawl Out led to Brawl In the Real Glass and the fight with Perry, which led to Punk being fired, which led to an audience divided. And it's taken until now for AEW to really kind of turn the pendulum where it's back in their favor again. They're still not where they were when that incident happened, but they're getting there. I have also been very outspoken about Hangman because of my devotion to Phil Brooks.
Yes.
I still feel in my heart that it should have been Darby. I feel like that was the story. But at least I'm no longer mad at it being Hangman. Like I told you when we were doing the 0 hour, I have cared more about the Hangman these last couple of months than I have these last couple of years.
Yep.
And it's very much a welcome change. So, like Jeff, I'm kind of curious to see where things go from here, especially with MJF as the champion now.
Well,
but
MJF is the briefcase
MJF is the
holder now.
briefcase holder. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Give me a chance to correct myself.
Please and thank you.
But yeah, like in my mind, I could have seen Darby winning the title at WrestleBreak, and because Darby doesn't really want to be champion, MJF cashing in his opportunity and taking the belt immediately off of Darby. Darby had his moment, and then because he didn't really want it, MJF could have taken it. But I'm happy for the Hangman. I want to see where things go from here.
All right. Well said.
And I would like to usurp your authority just a smidge because I really want to go to Ryan because I know he has been one of the biggest supporters of the Death Rider storyline.
Same as
so
me.
I'd love to hear what he has to say about all this.
Well, Ryan, and before you say anything, I'm just going to say this. I think personally Jon Moxley has raised back the importance of the AEW World Championship. Took a long time to get back there. But outside Jon Moxley, I would say no one's been more AEW driven on this journey than him and Adam Page. So I think this was a very great conclusion if this is truly it for now. And let's be honest, Jon Moxley needs a fucking vacation. He's an overworked man. He and Renee Paquette, for Pete's sake, were trying to go on vacation one time and it didn't happen. The floor is yours, Ryan. Please speak.
So, I am the foremost expert on the Death Rider storyline. Pay attention to every little detail. But to precursor this, I want to say Hangman versus Swerve began in Indianapolis 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Correct.
However long it's been since Punk's been fired. Or basically. It's been a while. But I was there when that feud started. I watched Hangman's Descent into Madness live in person. I saw the beginning of it. Swerve saying, "You don't want this," basically, and I want it. You're the chosen one, and I want to be there, right? And this is part of their feud. But fast forward to the Death Riders. Death Riders began. This isn't your company anymore. We don't necessarily know if he was talking about the Young Bucks or anyone else. There are some story threads that still have no resolution. But the overarching story has been about
passing AEW on, passing the legacy of the World Championship on to someone who deserves it. Okay? Someone asked, this might have been Stampede in the collective, you're not ready for this. John asked that to Darby. Said that to Darby, you're not ready. Took his spot, beat him for his championship opportunity. Cashed it in successfully with a championship match against Brian Danielson, retiring him. You know, Hangman has an opportunity along this journey, and he fails. I see all the narrative threads for why Darby Allin should have been the one to beat Jon Moxley. But he's not the only one who had those threads. We've talked ad nauseum, James and I, in many Twitter spaces. Okay? Nick, we've talked ad nauseum in many Twitter spaces. JJ, you probably have heard me talk. I'm sure we've had conversations. Since the end of March, I've been saying that Hangman is the main character of this story. Okay? Darby wanted to go climb a mountain. Darby wanted to go climb that mountain a year ago. But Darby is consistent with what Darby has always said. He doesn't need the World Championship because this isn't about ego for him. Darby does not want or need the World Championship. So, let him go do his thing, his little excursion. This great photo up for AEW. Climb the mountain. Would have been cool if he was the one to climb the mountain that was Jon Moxley. However, our cowboy, our millennial cowboy, our anxious millennial cowboy, Adam Page, is the one to do it. From going through darkness, descending, losing his good person mentality, he's still a day one guy. He was a day zero signing for AEW. He's the one who revealed the name of the company.
Yep.
He's always been the main character. He's gone on some side quests. Tonight, when I saw him walk out wearing white, I don't know if you watch a lot of Westerns. When you wear black in a Western, you're presumed to be the villain.
Yep.
The guy wearing the brighter colors, always the hero.
Yep.
Tonight, I feel vindicated. I feel redeemed. Because I called this in March. Hangman's going to do this. I was called a madman by many people. Should have been Swerve. Should have been people that wanted Cope to win the title.
Yeah.
Okay? Not a lot of them, but people wanted the Moxley title reign to come to. There's a disconnect from the audience who actually just casually watched the show and the hardcores. The us of the world. Okay? All of this restoring the feeling, the Death Riders is a part of. And for a story that has evidently pushed so many people and turned so many people off. Man, it's responsible for restoring the feeling.
Yeah, it really did.
And tonight, the stress, the support, the weight is off the shoulders. And I am glad that I got to witness Hangman Page redeem himself. Because he's been on this journey into darkness for such a long period of time. The redemption, all of it. It's a beautiful moment. Brought me to tears tonight.
Yeah, really. I felt the same way, by the way. I felt the same way.
Like for the main event. And You know, you came in somewhere in the middle of the main event. I turned my camera on in the Discord. You know,
Yeah,
just so
I saw
people
it.
can see so people can see my facial reactions. Because I'm very emotionally invested in this story. And to see it culminate, I would not have been mad if Mox had retained the title and we went another 3 months to get to October to get the Wrestle Dream. Okay? That's a very valid way for this to end. But to see it end, I might be a little tribalistic. Maybe just I prefer AEW. Maybe I just want to see the current and times because I like a little bit of nostalgia in my wrestling show. It's a variety show. You know, comparisons to Thief of Joy, but this was the Avengers assembling, much like WrestleMania 40.
Yep.
But it wasn't the stars of yesterday.
It was the
They
stars of
came to
today.
help. It
Yep.
was today's stars. It was our main cast, not a reunion show. You know?
That's a good
And
point.
for that, even better. And I love it. I yield my time.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, there was nobody better that you could have given the mic to, JJ, for this one.
I know. That's why I did it. And just to piggyback off Ryan says, the only reason I think people wanted Cope was because they were so over the Mox storyline. They were so tired of Mox holding the belt hostage. It wasn't necessarily that they wanted Cope. They just didn't want Mox anymore.
Yeah. But
Back
just
to you,
a little
Noah.
bit of
You can
patience.
throw it to whoever you want from now. But go ahead with your point, Ryan.
Then finish.
Just a little bit of patience, right? There was a lull period. I could not, even as a big Death Rider fan, I could not defend inserting Cope into this feud. But something I want to touch on, actually, because it was brought back to my attention, right? The Death Rider storyline saw the resolution of Hangman Swerve's rivalry. Okay? It has inserted the end of the Young Bucks being EVPs.
Yep.
Like, there's so many story threads that are wrapped up in the Death Rider angle.
Yeah, literally all throughout the
that
show, actually.
It's littered everywhere.
Yeah.
And the Death Riders themselves may not be over. The championship's gone.
Yep.
But where's Mox in 3 months? I want to see Mox have time off. That's what I'm talking about 3 months from now. Maybe 6
Good
months.
idea. Yeah.
But, you know, someone's got to lead the Death Riders between now. And there's another character along the way. We got our young boy, Wheeler Yuta, who's been beaten religiously by the Blackpool Combat Club and the Death Riders daily. This is canon lore. I can find you the promo. Okay? He can step up. He can step up and be a leader.
True.
Claudio can step up and be a leader. Who's going to fill the vacuum of John Moxley while he's out recovering? Right?
That's a
And this
very
gets
good
to a little bit
Gabe
Bloodline
Kidd, too.
2.0.
Yeah, a little Gabe Kidd, too. So that's
You know?
not wrong.
So there's a lot of action here. There's still a lot of meat left on the bone, and we're now get to move past the world title.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So beautiful story, beautiful stories, and if you paid attention to this long enough, it's very rewarding as a fan.
Yes, tonight was the best show that they've done in years. I honestly, their entire show, this is the best, and I don't think that's recency bias.
This might be recency bias for me, but as far as wrestling shows is concerned, top to bottom, since I grew up from looking at this from the eyes of a child, because nostalgia blinds a lot of us, right? I think might possibly be the best wrestling card, top to bottom, that I've seen.
Yep.
Better part of 20 years.
Yes.
Maybe my entire life.
Yep. I'm with Ryan on that.
So, either way, chef's kiss. I'm going to shut up. It's your show.
Thank you, Ryan. And again, definitely my favorite of the year. All right. Well,
thank you, Ryan, for eloquently speaking on that. That's why I went to you after me. The floor is yours, Noah.
Well, that being said, there's still 3 other people to share their final bit. So let's go ahead down to Nick, and then we'll move on to James and close with our Canadian friend. Nick, go ahead. What do you guys say regarding the fact that Hangman Page has found redemption and Jon Moxley is done as the AEW World Champion?
Ladies and gentlemen, you're about to get a Twitter space on YouTube. Get ready for this.
Oh, shit. Uh-oh. When did JJ just start?
I apologize in advance. I fucking called it. I have said it for months. Natural progression. This storyline. First of all, Ryan, you can take your Death Rider story. Get the fuck out. Fuck that. Natural progression. This story has been progressing over time since Dynasty. Everything that they have dropped. If you're not watching the product on a regular basis, you can't talk, because for the past few months they have riddled this story throughout Dynamite and Collision. You just had to wait and see it through. I do think the story changed because if we look back to what Ryan said, when Jon Moxley came out and said, "This is not your company anymore," I truly believe we would have had Shane come in. I think Shane was that higher power. All the pictures that came out, everything, right?
Yeah.
All of it. So I truly believe Shane was coming in. I think that meeting went sour and it just never materialized. So they had to pivot. They had to pivot somehow. As much as everybody, and I was one of them who bitched and moaned about this storyline, the fact that it ended the way it did tonight. Shout out to Darby, who's cutting a promo on Mount Everest. This guy cut a pre-tape promo on Mount Everest.
Yep.
Yeah, dude.
That's the highest anyone has ever been cutting a promo.
Dude.
Definitely accurate.
Like,
continue.
RVD ain't got shit on Darby.
No, but they're right though. You're climbing a however high mountain and you're cutting a pre-tape promo. Not in face paint. He wasn't in face paint. This was raw. This was a raw promo from on top of the mountain. Another attention to detail. The title that was pulled out of that briefcase, it still had the side plates of the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson.
Yep.
The detail that they put into this, as much as we all bitched and moaned, it was justified tonight. The fact that we all, I mean, one criticism I can say is those fan footage of Bryan Danielson coming out and doing moves. Like, imagine if we never saw that. And we got tonight Bryan Danielson coming out for the first time. But we already knew he was taking bumps, so it was kind of like a foregone conclusion.
Agreed.
Right? So imagine we saw that live. So that was crazy. Darby coming down from the rafters. A la Sting.
That building. Good God.
Like doing a coffin drop. And me and JJ talked about this on a space. And I remember you guys were saying, if Darby doesn't want the world title, then why is he here? That man, Darby is a different cat. He don't need the world title. He is more worried about the TNT title and elevating that, though.
That's right.
He does not want to be that main character here. It's just the way he's built. It's just the way in his DNA. So I like the fact that he's not challenging for the title. But again, natural progression. We've got Hangman now. MJF's got the briefcase or the title shot, right? This is all leading up to next year We have 365 days to tell the best story for Will Ospreay, because Tony, and I have said it and he has proven it, Tony is about moments. We had some people saying, oh, Will should have won it this year. This should have been Will's year. Or Will should have been last year. Tony is about his moments. Will Ospreay is winning that title in Wembley. That's the only time he's winning it. So how do we get from now, all in 2025, to all in 2026 in Wembley? That's going to be a must-see roller coaster. And especially for the fact that Will and Swerve did not lose that match, meaning they can still challenge for the world title. So what makes you think Hangman doesn't come out on Wednesday and turns around and goes, you know what, Swerve, since you helped me, I'm going to do you a solid. Me and you main eventing 02. Or to Will, thank you for helping me. Here's how I'm going to repay you. The stories that have now progressed from this 8-month long story, it's become must-see television, and there's no denying
really
it.
has. Yeah, there really has.
You're also talking to somebody that hasn't followed any fan footage, so I was fucking surprised to see Bryan Danielson, but I also did see him, of course, help Blue Panther, ironically enough, come out in a Blue Panther mask.
Right?
Well, I knew it was him, Ash, of course, at Globe Arena, Mexico. And again, he's done wrestling full-time on behalf of his daughter, on behalf of his family, on behalf of being a father. He never said he was permanently retired, unlike Sting. So again, American Dragon, he can still go, and he's still instrumental in AEW.
And there's two people, and I'll close with this. There's two people that we still haven't seen yet. Where was Jay White tonight? And where is Eddie Kingston?
That's
exactly
fair point.
Again, AEW, man. The sky's the limit now for this company, in my opinion. I said all of them was do or die. Boy, did they reach for the sky, boy, and exceeded all expectations.
Bravo.
Time be damned. All right, James, let's go to you. I'm going to finish that one fast. What do you want to say regarding the main event and Heyman and Page winning?
Unbelievable show from top to bottom, as Ryan said. I think it might be the pay-per-view that honestly, the best top to bottom show that I've seen in my lifetime. I thought that was Wrestle Kingdom 12. This is beating it. A lot of people say WrestleMania X7. This is definitely beating that. You couldn't have asked for a better story here. You really couldn't have. Every decision was the right call. They made the right calls for every single match. And it was all because of the Death Rider storyline riddled throughout this entire card. Every match on this card, to some degree, was influenced by the Death Riders. Every single bit. And honestly, it really felt like I was watching an Attitude Era moment here, where, like in 98, where all the stories kind of converged, where all the McMahon and Austin beef kind of riddled throughout that card. That's how I felt with this. It was brilliant storytelling. Honestly, I take back any bad thing and negative thing I've ever said about the Death Riders. Patience is a virtue. Ryan said it. I am happy to admit I was wrong. I am really happy to admit I was wrong. Fantastic show from top to bottom. And now I'm looking forward to the future, because the two most developed characters in professional wrestling, and I don't even know how long, are going to be the A and B of the company, Hangman Page and MJF. I can't name another two people that have had better babyface and heel turns than those two, and for them to actually make fucking sense.
And again, this show didn't need, like Ryan's point, this show didn't need stars of the past.
Not at all.
You didn't have Sting come out.
No Sting, no Punk, no, and
the
I love Punk.
Closest thing you have is Adam Copeland. And even then, he's kind of still here.
Yeah, Adam Copeland, and even that, like, the reason why we got Adam Copeland and Christian is halfway because of the Death Riders making FTR turn on Colt.
That's right.
So, like, again, there's influence all up and down that card, and I love that. And, yeah, man, just overall, 10 out of 10 show. Would recommend to anybody that is a fan of pro wrestling or has even watched pro wrestling at one point or another. Was a fucking great show.
As someone who's been with AEW since day zero and have followed AEW Dynamite Collisions every week, you ain't going to get no argument from me. And John Moxley, thank you, because let's not also lose the fact John Moxley was involved in every Dynamite and Collision during this Death Riders MO2, the hardest worker in AEW. Well, Ash, that being said, what do you have to say regarding the main event and All In overall, as we'll conclude with you?
I went into this match expecting John Moxley to win. I am pleasantly surprised Hangman won. It was very good. This match was a bloody, violent, chaotic match. It was everything it needed to be.
And then some.
Right? I love how everyone came together to fight off the Death Riders. That was good. And it also finished, not only started some stories, but also finished some as well. And I'm looking forward to not just the next pay-per-view, but these next episodes of Dynamite going into the next pay-per-view.
Well, there you go.
I really liked this pay-per-view. This was a really good, solid pay-per-view.
Yeah, again, arguably, again, this is my pay-per-view of the year, and this is the best pay-per-view I've seen from AEW in history, and that's saying something considering the status quo AEW pay-per-views have done since this company's inception countless times over. $50 be damned. You can't tell me you didn't get enough bang for your buck, no pun intended. Especially what happened tonight, where AEW All In truly has redefined the future of this company. Well, we got Jeff back here. So, Jeff, I remember you said you were going to come back. Hey. So, I guess actually we'll conclude with you. Any closing thoughts you have regarding AEW All In? Everyone else has pretty much said their stuff. Now we're going to hand back to JJ once I get my simple final statement. Go ahead, man.
Not a lot to say considering I haven't seen the show yet. I just want to, continue to emphasize that do not allow yourselves at home or on the social medias, particularly Twitch, because that is a cesspool, to skew your opinion of AEW. Watch the show tonight. Find a way. I'm not encouraging piracy, but I'm encouraging piracy. Watch the damn show tonight.
Find a way.
Find a way to watch this show. And if you can tell me that you're not interested in anything you see over the course of that broadcast, then I'm good with you not watching with me on Wednesday night. I'm okay with that because clearly you're trying too hard to not give a shit.
Yep. Wow. Well, that's a ringing endorsement and a dangerous one at that, too. But I'm not going to argue. Bottom line, before I give it to JJ, AEW, John Moxley, Death Riders, All In. Thank you. God damn fucking hell. That's professional wrestling, damn it. Wednesday can't come here soon enough. All right, JJ, back to you. That's all I got to say regarding All In. Again, that was my most favorite wrestling show I ever got to call in my life.
Over the last 3+ hours, we have discussed 6 wrestling shows that we have called over the last 2 days. Like I said at the outset of this, we did the math, and by the time Walter and I had gone off the air with Saturday night's main event, it was 6 shows in 27 hours. To echo Jeff's point, and I know I sound like a broken record because I know all of you have heard me say it, whether it's on the air here or in the spaces. If you were unable to find something this weekend to enjoy, get the fuck out the fandom.
Simple as that.
It doesn't matter what you like. If you like gruesome violence, you had Texas Deathmatch, you had I Quit matches, you had ultra-violent championships. If you like high flying, there was tag action, there was singles action. You had women's wrestling. You had big meaty men slapping meat and Yoshiki Inamura and Obafemi.
And
you had technical wrestling at its finest.
Yes.
If you could not find something out of these 6 shows ahead of tomorrow in Evolution 2, to enjoy, turn in your resignation and get the fuck out the fandom. Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you.
Amen.
You know, and I wish it was that mentality that could bring us together more, because all too often it seems to divide us in what we like and what we don't like.
Yep.
And the spaces are a great place to find that out.
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know. I'm never part of it. I wouldn't know.
Nope, you wouldn't. But if you go down to Nick, go across that middle road, and go back up to James, we have all experienced it in one space or another.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
I hate it.
I'm just gonna continue to gesture, laugh, and enjoy professional wrestling. You all can wish.
JJ, I don't know what you're talking about.
That's all. I'm
Okay,
saying.
Nick.
Oh yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Nothing. I don't know what that outburst was about. Don't worry about it. Never mind.
Bro, I think you have taken John Cena's role of peacemaker way more often than John Cena's played.
Yes, I'm aware. I don't like it.
So, but that's pretty much my closing words on that. You know, if you were unable to find something this weekend to enjoy, just get out of the fandom.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
We'll go around the horn real quick. We'll do our shills and plugs, and then we'll get out of here. We'll turn it over to Ryan, because it's such a rarity that he comes around here anymore. You know, I'll go ahead and say it. You know, me and him have come to words more than a few times in spaces over our opinions. So I am grateful that he was willing to sit next to James for House of Glory. Granted, it was with one of his best friends, so it wasn't really a chore. And I'm grateful he was willing to come here and discuss the shows this weekend. So thank you for being here, Ryan. Tell people where they can find you, and tell them about the stuff that you host during the week and participate in.
Oh, let's find the schedule here, because there's a schedule.
Here we go.
All right, cheap plugs. Oh, my favorite part of the night. Not really. Well, kind of maybe.
Noah, put the timer on. We need it.
So, if you enjoy having like well thought out conversations and debate and thought provoking conversation, you can find me. Oftentimes, you can find James as well on the Twitter, on the X, as part of the Wrestle Collective. You can follow us at DubC Worldwide, but if you want to follow the fish, you can find me at DubCEZR.
Wrestle Fish! Sorry.
Okay, now, we host a show on Mondays, Wrestling with Tism, at 5:30.
Yeah,
EST.
to be fair, to just kind of make sure we promote properly, that is not necessarily thought-provoking and engaging conversation. We just fuck around and have fun.
Hey, James, hurry up. We got 17 minutes.
If you want mind-numbingly stupid conversation,
yes.
Mondays, 5:30 EST on X. Best place for it. You can get a slightly smarter version than this on Wednesdays, because on Wednesdays, I and another co-host of ours on the Monday show, Mr. Hannibal Scorched, the Nick Soap Dish, different Nick, host a Dynamite preview show every Wednesday, where we will talk about whatever news has happened to be relevant for the hour, to then actually talk about the show. Sometimes Tony doesn't like giving me the full card before showtime starts, and then I'm just sitting there twiddling my thumbs and wondering, what the fuck, Tony? You know, like tweet some shit, man. That's the point. Either way, the rest of our schedule, we have spaces literally like every day.
Yep.
So it feels like it's every day, but I yield. Go on with the shills.
So what Ryan is saying is, whatever day of the week, check your jerk levels at the door.
Pretty much on Monday and Wednesday, and then WC Worldwide. That'll be a
Monday. We're off the meds.
Yes, Monday we are off the meds. Yes, indeed. And we are eating the food.
Nick, I pass it over to you, good sir.
Speaking of food.
Oh, Jesus. Well, we got 15 minutes in counting. You cannot find me anywhere. You can join us on Mondays and Wednesdays with Mr. James and the Fish and Mr. Hannibal. You can find me with Rock and Ropes, the Rock and Ropes crew. We do a lot with those guys. And I mean, if you want to find me, I'll have my people contact your people. Yeah.
That's usually how that works.
Yeah. My people contact your people, and I mean, yeah. Mondays and Wednesdays, the missus usually comes around, right, honey? Yep. You just find us on the spaces. This is what we do.
This is why we love Nick, and this is why we brought him into the group.
We enjoy her company.
All right, next to our Canadian friend, Ash.
The other Canadian.
Yes.
You can find me on X, the app formerly known as Twitter, at ShadowBadAsh. Mostly listening, occasionally talking in the spaces. Yes, last night, for the first time, I actually talked to a lot of the members of the Russell Collective. They were fun. I liked it. I want to talk more in the spaces with you guys, but I'm still a little nervous, so
There you go.
yeah.
and that's another new graphic. I like that graphic, whatever that was.
Thank you.
We've been slowly trying to pry Ash out of her shell, and doing commentary with us, engaging in shenanigans, has definitely helped to release the butterfly from her cocoon, if you will.
Oh my God, that's a way to say it. Go ahead, JJ.
I see Jeff with his hand up. Go ahead.
I'm officially the only person on this panel that doesn't have their own either me-centric or favorite wrestler person-centric.
He has one just of himself, so you're
Well,
fine.
yeah,
You're
well,
not
that doesn't count anymore because the info's out of date, and the freaking Pixar character looks 6 degrees and droopy.
That's
So,
why I made this.
There you go. I like Noah's a lot. It's simple. Like, yeah, I love that. Anyway,
No. See, I prefer this one for Noah.
I think everybody but James prefers that one because of what it invokes.
Yeah, I gave something more professional and simple, and also way easier on the eyes, and also something current. Anyway, continue. 13 minutes and counting.
Oh yeah, don't forget. Oh yeah, don't be a dickhead. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, Batty for Wrestling.
Do it! Yay! And I love how she does that's none of my business with the goddamn water drink. You love it. You love it.
Jeff, go ahead.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well, if the park ears thing is still in there, please throw that up because I have new park ears on, so I'd like to give them a little love if I can.
I don't believe it is. I believe that was cleaned out. No, just that.
Okay, well, we're in the park. I've got the pins here somewhere. Wait a second. There they are. There they are. They gave these to me last week when they visited the park, so yeah. We'reinthepark.com. They are a fan website of all theme parks, but mainly Disney Universal because they're based here. But yeah, they're awesome. I love them. Parkears.com. I'm going to shill anyway. They don't have a graphic because I got leather ears. And I'm going to wear these on Thursday for the 70th. Speaking of the 70th, next Saturday, of course. Well, we'll do that at the end because that brings in everybody. But as far as just my own personal stuff, thank you guys again for letting me pop in here. I know I was late and did not contribute much except my ridiculous face and my laughing at the hilarity of all the other plugs because, goddamn it, they made me laugh. But I am so looking forward to this week. There is so much more wrestling this week. Not as much as this week now, but next week there's still some decent wrestling. And Slammiversary is next week. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to Disneyland turning the big 7-0 on Thursday. I will be here live and in public, if you will, to be part of the chaos as a guest, not working. Thank God for that. But I'll be back here next Saturday with you guys hosting what we're going to be getting involved with next Saturday at Shenanigans. We'll get to that for you.
Is this fair?
James.
Okay. Me and my girl Natalia Markova. You guys can follow me on YouTube, Instagram, and X at JHubertSide95, and on Facebook at James Heatman Hebert. I do really cool and dumb things on the internet. You guys can check out my uncle's documentary, One in a Million. Part 2 is available right now on his website It's fun. It's great. It's cool. Please go and support that because it's very good. A lot of his pros that he's sending this to say it's actually better than part 1. And this is edited by yours truly. So go check that out, please, and thank you. You also can check out my Let's Play series on Super Mario Eclipse, which I have now got Nick here hooked on as I heard him play it the first time. And he's flipping me off as a result of that because he's probably already dealt with so much rage-inducing levels. Final Boss part 13, it's there. There will be a part 14 because, believe it or not, there's additional bonus content showing beta levels from when they show the trailers. So just be on the lookout for that. And Nick, if you don't want to be spoiled, don't tune in.
I would say we need a compilation video of all your crash outs and rage, but you still owe us our open mic night shenanigans compilation.
Yeah. Let's do
TikTok,
one thing at a time here. That's literally like that's next after I finally get this shit. Okay.
I'm waiting for part 3 of this documentary so I can watch the first 2 parts finally.
So yeah, much like the part 2 documentary, James's response as far as the highlight is like his opening. A lot of shit going on there.
There's a lot of shit going on. And to wrap up my plugs, there is one more thing I think we should mention as far as All In goes. Storm and Storm. I posted this.
Oh wow.
I thought it was nice to share, and I thought it was wholesome. Congrats, big congrats, little sis, by James Storm to Tony Storm, who was backstage at All In. So nice. I thought that was pretty effing cool. Not gonna lie. Money!
I missed that tune.
I do too. That's all.
I know it's on you, sir.
I don't know how I said my voice, but you're all crazy. But God bless all of you. Find me if you choose. Simply put on X and on YouTube at Foster 1916 for all things wrestling. Shout out to the entire ATW fam. Because again, I truly enjoy loving and encouraging this passion, and apparently everybody becoming a commentator of all this. Because I am nothing more but a simple man and a lifelong fan of professional wrestling. Damn it! Only wish to remind you, encourage you on no winners, no losers, no betters. Just fans on pins, this passion we all share. At the end of the day, folks, support one another, respect each other, protect your mentality too, you crazy space fools. And just for live and enjoy professional wrestling, it's truly as simple as that. We will see you tomorrow on the YouTube commentary booth again when it's me and our Canadian friend Ash covering WWE Evolution with a women take center stage only. Stay tuned.
Yeah, still
there you have it, and that brings it to me. Well, let's go ahead and we'll plug Walter, who had to dip out here a little earlier.
Yes.
Make sure you guys do what that video told you. Subscribe to Rage of Wrestling.
Subscribe.
He is 40 away from his 200 goal.
Subscribe.
Get him to 200 so him,
subscribe,
and Noah and probably James can go to Vegas next year for Mania.
Subscribe.
Yay.
Get those subscriptions up.
Subscribe.
You know, Walter works very hard and doesn't put himself over near as much as he deserves. So subscribe.
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 I will say this: if you all out there in the YouTube verse and what we used to call the multiverse, whatever you want to call it, if you guys get Walter at 200 and those 3 Yahoos end up in Vegas for WrestleMania, I will find a way. I will get the days off. I will join those knuckleheads in WrestleMania, at least for Mania itself.
So James, Jeff, what you're saying is subscribe.
What I'm saying is subscribe to Walter's channel. I'm warming up for next week. Subscribe to Walter's channel.
Subscribe.
Well, you know, I mean, we can sit here saying it, or we can just let them say it one more time.
Hey there, it is the center of attention, Brittany Brooks here.
This is your NWA Women's World Television Champion.
This is the TNA Knockouts World Champion, Masha Slamovich.
Subscribe to Rage of Wrestling on YouTube. Póngase verde.
You better subscribe right now ahora to Rage of Wrestling.
Subscribe to Rage of Wrestling on YouTube.
Everybody, make sure you subscribe to Rage of Wrestling on YouTube and get them to 200 subscribers. Let's go!
There you go.
Subscribe.
Subscribe.
And then, of course, me. You can find me on Instagram, the Renegade JJ Williams, on YouTube, Casa D18 Studios, on X at ROWJJ Williams and Casa D18 Studio. No S at the end of the X account. Casa D18 Studio is the one where you'll find me hosting and participating in the spaces. So make sure you follow me and subscribe there as well. But that is going to wrap it up for all of us crazy yahoos. Yes.
There is still one more thing.
We're going to plug next week's show.
Mm-hmm.
I was getting there.
Okay, I didn't. The way you said it, we were wrapping up. I'm like, well, we're going to wrap up. I was going to plug in. You did the word for my.
It's okay, but yes, next week Jeff will be hosting the Shenanigans Kick-Ass Karaoke, Disney Karaoke, as we celebrate the 70th anniversary of Disneyland. Definitely looking forward to that. Again, it's on X, it's on Insta, I believe. It might even be on Facebook. But Jeff and I curated a playlist of 65 songs that'll be on the wheel. 5 that are already taken by Jeff because, God damn it, he said so, and that's the bottom line.
That's right. That's right.
To take a phrase from our scumbag, because he's better than us and we know it.
Oh yeah, can I just say I was respectful to Adam Page. He's a new world champion, but his reign already has an expiration date, and it smells like scumbag, and I'm here for it. Let's go, boys. Let's do it. Come on,
make sure you guys are here for that. But again, that's going to wrap things up, as we are all tired. We are all exhausted. For some of us on the East Coast, it is 2:30 in the morning, pushing 3 o'clock. For those of us on the West Coast, it hasn't even hit midnight yet.
You lucky bastards.
You know, for Walter, for Dattila, for Jeff Meacham, for Nick, for Ryan, for Ash, for James, for Noah, I am the Renegade of Wrestling, JJ Williams, thanking y'all for joining us tonight for another episode of the Saturday Shenanigans, and we will catch you guys next time. Have a good night.
For stopping the